Hi, sorry, I'm here in a second. Sorry, we had a delivery outside, and it was too big to get into the front door, so I had to move it to the. Had to run out. And hi, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Where we do stuff from home, and that's where I am right now. I'm back at my place, and thank you guys for riding through the alternate reality of Kentucky internet last week as I as I tried to. Thank you, Menev. Can you get the door so I don't make a lot of noise and annoy you? Thank you. Uh, it's. I have to say, I'm getting incredibly used to the idea of the solid internet that I have here and the ability, like all the tech that I have set up. That when I go on, like this weekend, more than likely Friday, I will be live streaming from San Francisco area, the Bay Area, as I do my shows at Alameda Comedy Club, and then I've got to do radio Saturday morning. It's like I'm getting really spoiled with the quality of the internet here. I'm just hoping that I'm hoping this happens. Can I just show you, like, before I jump into all this, like the stuff we have to deal with? Look at this. White House prepares massive infrastructure bill with universal pre-K, free community college, climate measures. Now, by the way, this is a misleading title, but the price tag that they're talking about is about $3 trillion worth of spending. Oh yeah, this is I think you're seeing my mic poke out a little bit, is what that is. So, they're talking about a $3 trillion package. Now, in all honesty, if you remember when I told you about reading the third paragraph of everything, you know what I mean? We talk about the importance, the value, the incredible importance of reading the third paragraph instead of just going by this business, which is already it's just, there's a lot of cool stuff, in that for a lot of people and can be very excited about it, but it also is there specifically to drum up the people who would be against it, because as massive as this is, universal pre-K and free community college and climate measures will not make up even one of the 3 trillion. Not even close. But this will be the one that clickbaits everybody into getting pissed about the bill before they've even read what it goes into. And then find out, of course, that it's actually 2 bills, not one. White House officials are preparing to present President Biden with roughly $3 trillion infrastructure and jobs package that includes high-profile domestic policy priorities such as free community college and universal pre-kindergarten, according to 3 people familiar with internal discussions. After completing the $1.9 trillion, by the way, most of these things, because the government would pay for them, would qualify under reconciliation. There are some elements of it that are not directly related to government spending, but if you're giving grants to someone, or you're doing loan guarantees, or if the government is directly paying for a service, or in fact offering the states a floor of payments, if the state wants to put more money into the universal pre-K quality in their state, they can do that. But the baseline provided, like public education, by the federal government makes it part of the budget. Therefore, it qualifies for reconciliation, 51 votes. Just saying. So all of this stuff, think of it as, quite frankly, a $400 billion version, upgrade of Trump's tax plan, his tax cut that he made, temporary for humans, but permanent for corporations. I know, corporations are people. But in this case, you're essentially just adding an extra $400 billion to that price tag, and yet the priority is quite different. Instead of giving a tax break to the kind of people who, during a pandemic, made, trillions of dollars, this would foment effectively a revolution in business development in the country. So pretty incredible stuff. But after completing the 1.9, they're going to that Build Back Better, the effort is expected to be broken into 2 parts. See, notice how the White House prepares massive infrastructure bill. Massive infrastructure bill. Okay. And then the is broken into 2 parts. Okay. So not a massive infrastructure bill. Look at this. One focused on infrastructure and the other focused on domestic priorities. You mean two bills. They're going to be, all right. Do you hear what I'm saying, Washington Post? Please. I know it's hard out there for a gangsta in the print world, and you need to get those clicks. And I know you're thriving off the ad revenue eyeballs that come from Fox viewers who go, oh my God, and click on a link. But it's calling it a massive infrastructure bill and then recognizing that A, it isn't even complete in its structure. You're talking to people who are in the preliminary talks. And oh, my Venmo is up over my head. Sorry, I'll move that. It's too big. Sorry. Where are you? Let's see. I'll just shrink it. Pardon me. So the effort is to be broken into two parts. One focused on infrastructure, the other focused on other domestic priorities, such as expanding the newly expanded child tax credit. They didn't expand the child tax credit. They just continued it. They expanded it in years, for several years. All right, that's just a weird sentence. The people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe the private conversation stressed planning was preliminary and subject to change. Some aides stressed the package's final price tag remains unclear. Yeah, but that won't keep the Washington Post writer and the editor in charge from writing White House prepares massive infrastructure bill that's actually two bills that are probably half of each, and both would qualify through reconciliation. And so both of them are going like, here's a $1.8 trillion infrastructure bill, and here's a $1.2 trillion education and business expansion bill. Both of them, like I said, would more than likely qualify under reconciliation as part of the budget. This $15 minimum wage will, I don't know if there's anything about it in the $15 minimum wage. I'm guessing it's a good thing. I'm in terms of these two things. If you want, again, this is the same shit, guys. Unless they, and they're looking at revising the filibuster, that's what you have to watch if you want the $15 minimum wage. Has nothing, yes, it's over 10 years. San Fran Giants fan is asking, is it over 10 years? Yes, $3 trillion over 10 years. That's how the budgetary layout works most of the time. So what they're going to do is, with these two separate bills, more than likely, is get Republicans on record of fighting against universal pre-K and the expansion of community college, for example, which is widely popular, especially in red states, especially in areas where people don't want them to leave town to go to college. It's I'm up to here with the Republicans who are like fighting tooth and nail against this stuff as it comes across their desk and in the voting process, and then at the same time they all go home to their constituents and pat themselves on the back for something they voted against. What's wrong with Levin, Rudy, and Newsmax? Why can't they not tell the truth? Al, the GOP is insane also. Amy, yes, that's true. And by the way, I got your letters, and thank you. And but that's a bigger conversation for another time. I think it needs to be had, but thank you for them. I appreciate it. The infrastructure and jobs bill is poised to further Biden's presidency. Further define, beg your pardon, Biden's presidency. The president has faced intense pressure, including from some Democrats, to scale back his domestic policy ambitions, work with congressional Republicans on more incremental legislation following the $1.9 trillion relief plan, which by the way, if they put this together, I'm just going to say it right here. If they put together a $3 trillion infrastructure package, I will be very disappointed if they don't call it the Hey Would You Blow Me Act of 2021. Because honestly, I think the lesson from the American Rescue Act was, why would you act as if there was some sort of negotiation worth having with the Republicans if all of their negotiations will go on and act as if they're in good faith and they're not going to vote for it anyways? Even if they got what they wanted, they wouldn't vote for it. Even if they insert things into the bill, they get their amendments in, that was to allegedly, welcome them into the bipartisan fold. If they're going to offer amendments and still not vote for the bill, what? That's not negotiation. It isn't. Yes, that's how you spell it, Flang Doodle. Yes, thank you to our latest patron, by the way, 674. That's amazing. We're actually, I can't believe it. We're edging up on our 1,000 patron goal. That would be incredible. Holy smokes, that would be great. Patreon.com/HalSparks. I can speak. /HalSparks. I think it was lovely this morning that I was able to, at least on Steph's show, mention it and mention hers and mention Frangela's. Which, by the way, at 6:30 today, I have to bug out no matter if I get caught up going long on stuff, because I'm going to, in private, at least for the first one, I might be able to talk them into doing a public one later. I'm going to help them set up their, they're going to do a daily live stream as well. And I'm going to help them set up the tech for that. So I've got a Zoom call with them in a little while after the show to help them develop their setup so that they can do a regular show as well. But, I am literally the technical mastermind behind the Sexy Liberal Network at this point. It's 6:30 my time. You are, if you're central, yes, it would be 8:30. So yes, don't forget to give a like and subscribe and a thumbs up. So I'm in, by the way, I totally support the Hey Would You Blow Me Act of 2021. I think there's a lot in it to love. I have no doubt they put a lot of hair on the knuckles in there so that, the mansions of the world can feel like they stripped something out. The initial, initial cost of an infrastructure bill, I guess Trump's was 1.6 trillion. And then he went to 2 trillion. So Biden's going for 3. Allegedly, the Republicans should be behind the 2 trillion worth of stuff. So at the very least, you fall back $1 trillion here and there, and you end up with a $2 trillion infrastructure bill that helps everybody in the United States equally, and they have to live with that fact that Biden was the dude who got it done. I have no doubt we're looking at $2 trillion over 10 years for infrastructure spending, and $1 trillion over 10 years for free community college and universal pre-K and those kind of priorities. Oh, thank you so much, Amy, for becoming a patron. Right on. 248. So in this, let's I just wanted to kind of start off with some good news in that regard. There'll be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth about whether or not this is going to amount to anything. Don't listen to a lot of it. Pay attention to what's going through committee, and when it finally gets the final language of the bill, then you'll know what's worth reporting on. People who are in the 24-hour news cycle business, instead of bouncing around like I do and just playing whack-a-mole with right-wing idiots, they have to actually go chase the laser pointer that is this story about how big this is going to be. So there you go. And somebody tweeted me before I get started about the Colorado shooter. This is allegedly, they have caught him. That is him bleeding down his leg after being apparently shot in the groin or something. We don't know. But they are leading a fellow out in handcuffs, shirtless. I don't know if he stripped himself or he came in that way, but that is allegedly the shooter. We don't know, but that's the detail that I have so far on that. So you don't have to wonder during the rest of what we're doing. So I just wanted to get that kind of out of the way. So I'm very excited about the Hey Would You Blow Me Act of 2021. I'm looking forward to it working its way through channels. A lot of the infrastructure spending, especially nationwide broadband, which will be a huge selling point. I'm telling you, Democrats, anyone listening to the sound of my voice, after a year of Zoom school and hanging out with gamers in my lifetime, I'm here to tell you, if you want something that is bipartisan across the board, where the children, oh, thank you so much, Paige, where the children of right-wing, legislatures nationwide will have to hear it from their own kids, you want nationwide broadband. You want fiber optic everywhere you can possibly have it. And you want, where you can't have it, you want to at least lay baseline broadband everywhere. There is actually, in my estimation, there is no reason to do anything less than fiber optic at this point. So from me to everyone who's negotiating this bill, if you want to hammer one thing while they're wringing their hands about free community college, which is this like, well, why don't you make everything free, which is what you're going to hear from them. If you push a nationwide infrastructure bill that's primary focus is a smart energy grid, which is the thing that just people will like the sound of it, even if they don't understand it, and nationwide broadband, fiber optic being laid all the way across the country, through red state and blue, with as much penetration in all these areas as you possibly can, this bill will, it'll gather a lot of noise in red states, and it will be very hard for them to not vote for it. So I have to say that should be the primary aspect. The primary sales point of infrastructure will be, we've got to, save our bridges and our roads. Nobody cares about broken down bridges. It's nuts. They just want them to fail or whatever. It's very odd how even the Trumps are like, make America great again, but if you try to fix the bridges so they don't collapse, somehow that's socialism. It's very weird. But if you push as the primary point, if your main focus is nationwide broadband and an electrical smart grid, everybody will fall into it behind them. And the kids of all these representatives, the family members, the brother-in-law living on their couch who lives on Xbox, but when it starts lagging wants to talk about QAnon, all those folks will exert an extraordinary amount of pressure on the Republican Party across the nation. So there you go. Yeah. Let's see. Population street, zero HSI access, has to use satellite. Yeah, it's ridiculous. All main cities and should be the spider hubs of nationwide broadband, and we should lay fiber optic line because there's not going to be anything coming down the pike that's that has faster speed and is more secure than that for a generation. So you're not going to have to dig those things up. And by the time you do, you'll be using, radio bands the way 5G does, but in, across a wider spectrum. It'll just, as compression and computers get better, you may not need, you'll effectively have digital satellite broadband much easier. But until then, fiber optic is the way to go, and they need to lay fiber optic lines. And the first thing they need to do is start doing it in Idaho, Georgia, Montana, northern Texas, Arkansas, all these things with a big old "your tax dollars at work" sign everywhere they're laying the line. Because all those guys will bitch about it. They're blocking the traffic and blah, blah, blah for ages. They'll be complete jerks about it. But when a year later, when their internet's online and it has jumped up to the next level, they'll suddenly go, oh, I don't know, these Democrats get stuff done. Thank you, Amy. Yes, this is one of the new jackets. I actually got a sample to see if I liked it or not because I was concerned that about the quality. So. So anyways, that I just wanted to touch on that. Now, of course, I guess the big news is that Trump did an interview with Harris Faulkner on her show, The Faulkner Focus. Falcon Focus, which I think they made a mistake. I think it should have been Falk apostrophe N Focus, Falcon Focus. Is the name of the show. But what are you gonna do? But apparently, she's got Trump on the phone, and he is, just say it 5 times fast. Fucking focus, fucking focus, fucking focus, fucking focus, fucking focus. So here she is.
Not my hope. Biden promised.
By the way, they're interviewing people at the border, and it's like literally they're using ABC footage of these interviews. surge at the border. Biden tells migrants not to come to U.S. But they're going to go, I guarantee in this, it'll be like, he's just welcoming everybody, just telling them to come on.
We can cross with minors.
In the Faulkner Focus now exclusively, live by phone, former President Donald
He's in fucking focus right now.
J. Trump. Mr. Trump, you're with me?
Mr. Trump. Mr. Ouch.
Yes, I am.
Well, he's on the line.
Let's start with why you are calling this a national disaster.
Because he lost the election and Biden's in charge of it, and it's hyperbole is the only thing he's capable of.
Well, they're destroying our country.
All right. That's simple.
The gentleman said the violence in his country. Well, we're bringing the violence to our country.
No, you're not. This guy's escaping the violence to come here to be peaceful. If he liked the violence, he'd have fucking stayed there.
Because many of the people coming are not nonviolent people. They're
There are very few pacifists coming from Guatemala.
violent people. Many of the people coming. These countries don't send.
Let me guess. They don't send their best. They're sending rapists. They're telling murder. Seriously, do they just play a record with a big scratch in it?
Out their finest, and in some cases, I'm sure you have wonderful, fine people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the dude can't even quote himself right.
But you also have criminals. You have murderers.
Yeah. Murderers, rapists, drug dealers. Especially those 9-year-olds. You do realize the crisis at the border that they're freaking out about is about children at the border. That there are 9,600 of them in detention. How many of them were in detention? How many minors were in detention in 2018 and 2019? Oh, 19,000.
You have sex traffickers. You have a lot of very bad people coming into our country.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Epstein used to fly back and forth all the time, right? I mean, did he land his plane in West Palm?
And they're doing nothing about it.
They're doing nothing. They're not doing anything.
Be released, or they're already being released. Yesterday they announced that they're just going to let them go into the country. No courts, no nothing. It's crazy. They're destroying our country. This is just like with the vaccine, where they say, oh, let's...
Honestly, why are we not just calling any... Why don't you just... It's like Fox is drunk dialing any random, angry, racist grandpa south of Georgia.
Blame Trump. We had record numbers, record positive numbers.
Yes, you had record numbers. You mean you had twice as many kids in detention as they have now, and they're... Yeah.
And Frank...
And by the way, in the kids that are separated right now, they came by themselves. Whereas when they came into the country under the Trump administration, they were separated by the Trump administration. They weren't just lone kids coming in. All right.
In another couple of weeks, we could have finished up the wall, but they ended...
If they just had a couple more weeks of my presidency, we were so close.
Construction.
None of these people are coming through gaps in the wall, by the way. Not a one.
And
a lot of them are coming over sections of the wall, but nobody's have you seen any footage? And they're like, look at this big, excellent gap.
The reason it didn't get finished, it took me 2.5 years to win the 11 lawsuits that we had, many of them by the Democrats in Congress.
And a lot of them by people who live in Texas and other border states where you took their land without asking.
So, I mean, the wall is incredible how it's worked.
It's great. I could tell because why?
Large sections, we have almost 500 miles built, and the large sections where you have it, where you don't have an entry point, it's been incredible. Where you have an entry point now, all they have to do is...
Wait a minute, look at all these people with Biden shirts. It's like they want to come in and vote for... Oh, wait. Biden, please let us in. Are they trying to go back to Mexico? Because if their shirts say, please let us in, conceivably, they're out.
Put guards there, but those points get closed up over a short period of time. They just were open to bring all of the equipment and everything back into the United States, because frankly, would rather not leave it in Mexico.
What?
get closed up over sections where you have it, where you don't have an entry point. It's been incredible. Where you have an entry point now, all they have to do is put guards there. But if those points get closed up over a short period of time, they just were open to bring all of the equipment and everything back into the United States. Because frankly,
I'm sorry, what equipment are you talking about? Like migrant wood chippers? What equipment? You mean wall building equipment? Oh no, right. The Mexican cartel assassins that your contractors were hiring to do security, who were allowed to come into the United States. Those guys.
Would rather not leave it in Mexico.
All right. Again, people kneeling at the border, wanting to get in.
You know, what you're talking about makes me wonder how in the world you close the border. I mean, when I heard DHS Secretary Mayorkas say that, I kind of sat back in my seat and I said, well, but you have all of these gaps. We've been showing them, McAllen, Texas, and other areas.
With no one coming through them, just gaps in the wall because you extended the wall to an area where if you even try to walk across that, you'll die.
So can you really close the border? What is that like?
I did. I closed it. It was closed.
Very easily.
Well, I mean, obviously, COVID closes it very easily. Oh, it's easy to close the border. Tell us.
It's just little sections, and then some sections you want to open because that's an entry point. That's where you have your security, because you do take people in. You have people coming in, helping the farmers. They've been coming in for years. If we ever stopped that with our farmers, frankly, the farmers would go out of business.
Oh, really? Really? I don't remember. I'm sorry, are you now supporting Hillary Clinton's border policy that you vilified as open borders? As no borders at all? The ability to have people, come across the border and as migrant workers and then go home, again, cross the border just to do their work and then go back? All that stuff, that's that stuff you pretended meant open borders and just anybody can come in, no checks, no nothing. You're suddenly for that? Okay.
In California, wine country, various other places.
California wine country?
You take them in, but what happens is you
don't take them in. They come in, they work, they go home.
Do have some open points because obviously we have people coming back and forth, but you also have in some cases areas which weren't completed, like gate areas and other areas which would have been completed very quickly. You could have had it done in a month. And these are contractors that have been largely paid for the work to get it done. And now they're going to want money not to get it done.
They're going to want money not to get it done. What?
For more money not to do it. They're professionals, okay? That's what they do. They're contractors.
What's more professional than a contractor who goes, literally, this is the Chico Marx, the band plays on moment of these, like, how much it cost you to build a wall? We charge you $25 an hour. How much you pay to practice building the wall? $50. How much to pay to not build the wall? That's $35. How much to not pay to practice to build the wall? You couldn't afford it.
And it's a shame, but I heard him. He must be incompetent because we had unbelievable numbers, and we're going to have numbers like nobody's had once the rest of the wall was.
You mean all the people that you put on the other side of the border that have been camped out there the entire time are now all going to try and get their cases through? So you're going to pretend that all those people came in when Biden was president because of him drawing them in and not because you effectively set up a series of massive migrant refugee camps on our southern border when you could have set up a processing system where people who had asylum claims could come in, stay for a short time. If things changed in their country, they could be deported after that, or they could be delivered back to their country so that they could live in safety amongst their family and all that kind of stuff. Or you could process the people who are, evildoers and send them to either jail in other countries or what have you, rather than have there's kind of a mixed huddle at the southern border, and now Biden has to deal with the backlog.
Closed up. Oh, it's going to be many, many times worse. It's only going to get worse. And, they like to blame the previous administration.
Obviously, in 50 days, Biden has basically created this from scratch. These people were like, "Bring."
Just like they said, oh, no, we didn't produce the vaccine. They produced the vaccine, yet Biden got his shot in December.
Yes.
They produced the vaccine. They didn't
The distribution plan.
produce anything. All they did is take our policy, and our policy was incredible. Warp speed, Operation Warp Speed.
Oh, you can't do that to me in the middle of the Operation Warp Speed, in the middle of this whole thing, and I was not prepared.
Captain's log.
There you go.
It was incredible, and all they did was take our policy. But
What was your policy? What was the policy? Buy any vaccine, massive doses of it, before it comes out, using taxpayer money that you didn't ask for, because Trump asked for $2 billion to fight COVID when it began. The Democrats in the House gave him $8 billion. He was like, I'll take it, whatever. And then the relief packages were put forward. He was like, I don't even think we need this, but cool, whatever. And he just threw taxpayer money at all of them, bought the doses early, just said, we're going to take it no matter who wins, in the race. There was a push by international pharmaceutical companies to race to get this, because whoever does it is going to make billions of dollars. The AstraZeneca one, by the way, which everybody was worried about the blood clots, apparently is 70% effective with older people and shows no blood clots, 100% effective in what would effectively be the otherwise healthy age groups below 65. Kind of incredible. 100%. 100%. All right. Nobody in their study got it and went to the hospital or died. And that's, was that British and Swedish? The first doses also came in the United States, all came from Belgium.
But, they're saying, oh, they did the vaccine. They didn't do the vaccine. I did the vaccine.
Yeah, he made it. You should see his lab he set up in the Oval Office.
By pushing the FDA, it would have taken 5 years. You probably would have never had a vaccine.
Yeah, because everyone would have died. If you'd have continued to be president, you wouldn't have even bothered.
But it would have taken 5 years to get it approved. I got it done in 9 months, and we.
Worldwide, everyone was rushing the approval. The Russian approval and the race with Operation Fart Steed,
Captain's log.
Ended up making people trust it less. You've got almost any hardcore Trump voter is not going to get the vaccine. They don't trust it.
We have not only a vaccine, but a vaccine that really works well.
Which one?
And we have, by the way, we have many vaccines. We have now 4 companies that have them, and that's only because of the Trump administration. Has nothing
Somebody got a warning on their
to
screen
do
as
with
they were recording this.
the mess you're watching now that are destroying our country and taking away freedom of speech and taking away people's rights.
I want to get to this because it's just happened now, and I wanted to
Get to this. Yeah, this is important. Breaking news.
double check this with our producers.
Double check it. I think this will work out well.
DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has resigned.
No, he hasn't. He's most definitely not resigned.
Mr. President, your
Well,
first.
I'm not surprised. Good. That's a big victory for our country.
Hold on.
Psych!
Let me stop.
Yeah, you should probably not say that until.
Listen to my team one more time.
Yeah, listen to your team.
Forgive me.
You're forgiven. Domine.
Forgive me. That has not happened. But
Well, yeah. All right. Got a good team working for you there. Did that? No, he didn't. Are they just messing with you?
and I apologize. Listening to the team and you.
Cross off
but
that.
Listen, I can't get the bullshit straight. It's one on the. I don't know if it's. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You what now?
I know
Victory.
that you. Right. Well, and I want to tell everybody, you issued a statement last night.
Yeah. Statement. Basically, you're just having to fax your tweets now.
And you called for that, though. And you're just talking about him, just to clarify. And
That's what it was. So he called for him to resign, and you read as if he had. Somebody in your ear said, "Ask him about Mayorkas resigning," and she's like, "Oh, he just resigned. Oh, yeah. What do you think of that?" or whatever. And like, "No, dummy. Remember we talked about this in the meeting before the show. We're gonna bring up his okay."
as somebody who you feel is not competent to handle what's going on. So let me clean up on aisle 7 with my error. He has not resigned, and let me move right to what you are calling for, and others too.
Oh yeah, others. It's a totally bipartisan thing.
For him to move out of the way and possibly get somebody who can do the job. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that'll eventually happen. I think that
No, it won't.
he's way over his head.
No, he isn't.
All he had to do is sit down in his chair. The systems were taking care of themselves. We had great people there. A lot of those people were removed. The policies were removed.
By the way, the Trump loyalists in the Border Patrol are slow walking processing for people and children to make them spend more time in detention with the idea. And by the way, see these people are kneeling and all this stuff? That's not in the United States.
We had to stay in Mexico because what happened is hundreds of thousands of people were coming into our country. Our laws were so bad. We had to change. We had to get things changed.
Totally. Yeah, terrible. By the way, I'm drinking amino acids and they're green, so it makes a green screen. It makes my face disappear.
Rules, regulations, laws. What we went through was incredible over
So incredible, the best.
a 2-year period, especially the first 2 years. And then we got it, and it was so beautiful. I mean,
It was so beautiful when COVID stopped all international and border travel.
you look at the numbers, it was so beautiful. And then they came in, and I think just because we did such a good job and because it was me, they went, let's go the opposite. Let's let everybody.
Wait a minute. So it's a dick move when a president comes in and just wipes out whatever the previous administration did because of who that president was? So like, let's just say, I don't know. I'll just make something hypothetically. If one of the previous administrations had come up with the cops program to get racist and violent cops out so that other police officers wouldn't take the heat for violent police officers in their ranks, that it was working really well and it was actually helping a lot, or a pandemic response team, for example, that if the president that came in after them just thought, I'm just going to get rid of it because it, has the former administration stank on it, that would be wrong. Oh, the lessons we learned in 4 years.
Come into the country. And now, I mean, it was just announced they're allowing everybody to walk through and just come in and.
Are they? Let's see. They're just allowing everyone to walk through and, oh, goodness. The border is not open. Biden administration sees one. No, Biden hasn't introduced open borders despite surge. Border is not open. Biden's Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas tells Rangers the border is not open. Border is not open. Biden borders are says the border is not open. Acting CPB Commissioner, the border is not open. Biden borders are the border is not open. The border is not open. I'm sorry. You were saying? Sorry.
They're not taking anything. They have no information
Ended suspended safe third country agreement.
about the people.
Halted construction of the border wall.
And that's the people they know about. How about the.
There we go. There's the sticking point. Rada! This, look. Huh? This is the rubbing point. This is the reinstitution of catch and release.
People they don't know about, all those thousands of people.
Illegal immigrants included in census count. Yes, because the Constitution says you have to count all the human beings in the country, whether they're here legally or not. They don't become citizens because they're counted.
That are coming in with.
And by the way, if you count that a district has a large number of undocumented or, in fact, illegal immigrants due to gang activity, let's say those are the illegal immigrants, and the undocumented ones are the people who are seeking asylum, or are migrant workers that are working under the table, and the farmers would go broke without them. That kind of stuff. Let's divide those into a pack. That the illegals are MS-13, right? That we've all been warned about. That if you see a district that has a lot of those folks in it, because they were included in the census count by household, and they were like, oh, the crime rate's interesting in this particular area because there's a huge number of these. Maybe they're part of a particular group of folks that we might want to keep an eye on, like, I don't know, like Trump Tower, Miami, and the number of Russians hanging out there. See what I'm saying?
There's absolutely no protection, and the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. And
I think they need more lights in the ceiling at Fox. Good Lord.
Nice, who are phenomenal. But they're taking care of children now. They're like babies.
Trump, Biden policies leading to death, tragedy.
Sitters right now. They've been taking off their jobs, standing at the wall.
They've been taking off their jobs, standing at the wall. You want me on that wall. You need me. You don't need me on that wall? Cool. I'm going to go look for another job because...
And Mexico's no longer protecting us. I had 28,000 soldiers.
Oh, God, this one again.
Come.
Why not? Why are they not protecting us anymore? What were you doing? What were you paying them with? What were you letting them get by with? Were you stopping all the drugs coming in the United States from, South America, like Guatemala, Brazil, Ecuador and those kind of places, Colombia, but you were letting the Mexican drugs get in, and so therefore they're like, okay, if you do that, if you favor our drug cartels and keep those folks out, then maybe we'll put soldiers there because our soldiers can be bought and they'll know who's who.
Compliments of Mexico protecting our country, because I said if you don't put them there, we're going to charge you tariffs on your products that you sell into the United States and make a fortune. That's
Well, then they didn't do it as a favor, and why do you think the Mexican president is a nice guy? Why is he great for putting the soldiers there if it was just based on a threat?
the only reason we had them. So we had great numbers. All they had to do is continue our policies, and even
all they had to do was continue our policy of not containing the pandemic. And it's amazing how border crossings shrink when everyone is dying.
I was, look, we won the election as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, I thought we were talking to Mr. Trump. Turns out Mike Lindell is now on the line.
And we had a great election. We got
No, you lost. You got savaged. You sucked.
Almost 75 million votes, but
almost. That's interesting, because all the people who say you won said you got 80 million and Biden got 64.
We were going to make it even more stringent, with the understanding that we want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. Very simple.
So,
yeah, well, asylum is a legal form of entry into any country. I mean, we have international treaties for that very thing. And the idea is that if they have asylum there, they can go home. They don't necessarily, like somebody who migrates to the country specifically. Asylum seekers are very different. They come here, they stay here temporarily, and then if their country changes or whatever, then the State Department can go, okay, asylum is up. You can go home now. Everything's safe. Your country's fine.
let me ask you this. I want to get...
Yeah, ask him something. Yeah, ask him if he's heard that Kamala Harris has just resigned.
Back a moment and revisit the COVID-19, because that,
yeah, let's go back to that, because that was basically the winning moment for this administration.
You ran on very strongly on the border. That was a single issue for you. The pandemic hadn't happened. Biden ran strongly on COVID-19. Yet I'm learning from Chad Wolf, your former acting DHS secretary,
who is completely trustworthy,
and Democrats as well, that people are crossing the border, and sometimes we can test them and sometimes we can't.
Right. Why can't we? Because the people that you're talking about that were moved up into Idaho and other places that were, put there to await their court dates, who've been taken in by churches and the like, those folks have been tested, and a lot of them got COVID in the actual centers, in the actual detention centers.
So as a former president, you know a lot of details that
As a former president, ouch.
we don't have access right now to.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get his briefings anymore.
Because we haven't had our first solo news conference with Biden. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah. What national secrets can you tell us? Thanks, Benny Loco. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and a like. Subscribe today. Infotainmentwars.com.
From a president's perspective, Title
From a former president's perspective.
42. What would it do to stem the tide in terms of COVID-19 right now? And is it being applied in your estimation? You created that.
They're applying nothing. They're
He doesn't know what you're talking about.
not doing Title 42 or any title.
They're not doing any of the titles. They're not doing any headings, any subheadings.
People are just pouring into our country, and they will destroy our country.
Oh my God. I know. I saw a story where, like, CNN was filming people coming across the oh my goodness. What? Did CNN air a staged migrant crossing of the Rio Grande? An unusual video has been flagged by activists as deliberately manufactured to present the story of a border crisis, possibly with the participation of the Border Patrol. Oh, thanks so much, Diana. Kablooey. Ed Lavandera gestures towards a purported migrant crossing of the Rio Grande underway at the U.S.-Mexico border. The scene starts out serenely as CNN national correspondent Ed Lavandera and crew they motorboat down the Rio Grande. Down by the Rio Grande. Near the city of Hidalgo, Texas, as the sun sets. But soon the idyllic setting gives way. That's when we stumble across a group of migrants loading into a raft, Lavandera says in the clip. He's heard speaking with the migrants in Spanish to ease the tension. I'm sorry? In the video, shot on March 11th and aired the next day, a group of migrants, including children, board a tiny raft and are led across by a man in a black ski mask and camouflage clothing. Apparently, has anyone checked the FBI's Capitol riot Twitter feed to see if that guy's in there? Okay, the migrants wear clean-looking surgical masks and life vests. That's nice. Well, I'm glad they're being safe. The Rio Grande Valley has been ground zero for the latest surge in migration, and here you see the operation unfolding right in front of us, said Lavandera. After the first raft crosses, the magnitude of this moment reveals itself. Dozens of migrants emerge and walk down the river's edge. You can see this is a serious operation. He narrates what he describes as a highly organized system. Yeah, but not by migrants. With the raft taking at least 6 trips across the river. Scenes like this are escalating in the Rio Grande Valley, Lavandera says. But the scene may not be all it appears to be. Immigrant rights activists and others claim that the footage was staged, potentially with the cooperation of the Border Patrol. CNN was warned that the clip appeared to be a fabrication before it aired, but the network decided to run it anyways. You think? A similar clip that appears to show the same or similar trafficking incident from another angle was shared across right-wing media and even linked to a social media accounts of members of Congress. This clip went viral among immigration opponents, and it is helping to fuel the story of an out-of-control border. The video, legitimized by mainstream, easily fit into the narrative. Now a series of charges and countercharges have demonstrated the radioactive politics of immigration. Scene appears to be a preview of what's to come. Yesterday's Sunday show centered on the border, fueling a crisis narrative as the administration continued to double down on its border is closed messaging. In the CNN footage, the smuggler leading the boat wears fatigues and a black ski mask and looks and smells vaguely like Ted Nugent. I'm kidding. Smugglers typically attempt to blend in with the migrants to avoid more severe punishment should they be caught. Smugglers also don't normally provide face masks and life vests, nor ferry 6 boatloads of people across in broad daylight. Quick, get those migrants across here. I'm losing my light. To Jen Budd, hey man, a former Border Patrol agent, the smuggler's face mask rang alarm bells. That told me the smuggler knew he would be filmed and he didn't want to be set up. Mariana Trevino Wright, executive director of National Butterfly Center, pointed out that her organization goes out on the river at least 4 times a week and never sees any kind of trafficking operation like this. The Guardian reported that the area of the river where the footage was taken can only be accessed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection controlled boat slips. Wright confirmed this to the Prospect. Is there a crisis of order? Advocates in Texas say it's political manipulation. Gee whiz, they're destroying our country. All right.
They will destroy our country.
I mean,
you can't take millions of people. They'll have millions of people before this mess is over. And they've got some kind of a political theory, I guess, that it's a good thing. Maybe. I don't think it is. I think it's a very bad thing for our country. Again, we want people to come.
Sorry, okay. So single adults are up 188% from during the pandemic. And unaccompanied minors are up 92% from during the pandemic. Right? From last year this time. Uh-huh.
I mean, but they have to be able to help our country. They have to come in through merit, and they have to come in legally.
Clearly, I mean, what are these unaccompanied minors going to do? I mean, is there a virtuoso pianist in there anywhere? I doubt it.
Right now, you don't have anything protecting our country.
No, I mean, can you imagine these, like, Guatemalan and El Salvadoran and Mexican kids growing up in the United States, learning to speak English and hanging out with American kids? Ugh. They'll destroy our culture by, well, I guess by becoming a part of it, by being assimilated into it.
You have people just flowing through.
Yeah, they're just flowing through. I mean, it's honestly, they're just flowing. I mean, it's a nonstop. Guys, it's a crisis. You can't call it a challenge. It's a crisis.
Coming through. And they're the numbers are so vast. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said 20 years. I'll bet you it's maybe forever.
Yeah. This is the most immigration we've ever had since, I don't know, when did immigration in North America start? Are we going to start with when it was North America? Let's go back to the Vikings and the Chinese. I'm just coming across this way, knocking boots and creating the Native Americans. Maybe
it's, from the beginning of this whole mess.
Of time, essentially. Since Lucy, I would guess, in Africa.
But
it's the worst migration in human history since, I don't know, humans left Africa.
It's much more than 20 years. They said the worst in 20 years.
But, I can't listen to the actual numbers. I've got to make up a new number.
No, they're going to just...
40, 50, 70, 25, 50, 22, 30.
Destroy our country. In other ways, too, if you look at what's going on.
Yeah, and what other ways are those? I'm looking at what's going on. There's apparently a woman pushing a pram across a railroad track.
You're going to have packed the court.
Well, Montana.
You're going to have big tax increases.
Big tax increases to pay for all the Mexicans getting, English language lessons. What?
Going to take your guns away. I mean,
the Mexicans are going to pay to what? So we're going to pay taxes to have Mexican. Oh, I see. The Democrats are trying to bring in all these Mexicans because they're going to be the ones who are the foot soldiers in the great gun grab. Huh?
Take a look at what they're doing with... take a look at what's coming up, and I predicted it all. Now, I must say...
You predicted... what? Say it.
I never thought that Biden... And it's not Biden, it's other people that...
Yeah, no, it was definitely not. I mean, it's not his policies or whatever. He just ran on them, kicked everyone's ass, and won, trounced you. But all of a sudden, the policies that he was advocating for, that, by the way, Kamala Harris is apparently whispering in his ear all these things. Apparently what she's whispering is, remember what you said during your campaign that I disagreed with, but everybody else liked? Do that.
That are, putting stuff in front of him.
You don't think it's him?
But I never thought...
No, it's not him. Or whatever. I mean, And by the way, the amount of projection that's going on here is fabulous.
I never thought that Biden in a million years would be worse. Nobody did. Would be far worse than Bernie Sanders. This is Bernie Sanders on steroids.
From the man who took steroids.
This is what he's doing with all, and you haven't seen anything yet. So,
no, definitely not. I mean, this is basically, I don't know why the left even grouses about Biden at this point.
So the Second Amendment is going to be obliterated.
Why? Why are you showing pictures of children lined up against a van while a Border Patrol agent goes through their bags, I guess presumably to check for bioweapons and where, hold on. Where is it? Let's see. Excuse me. There it is. I'm presuming. No thanks. Hold on one second. Where's the? They have to have a picture of this. Hold on. I can't just show you the picture of the dude. I guess we're checking to make sure that. Oh, this guy's an American. Never mind. Man was arrested Thursday on Interstate 15 on suspicion of smuggling 40 bundles of meth. You pulled a van over on 3095 by Marietta checkpoint after man exhibited unusual and suspicious driving behavior. Well, obviously, he's very sweaty. Cubs minor league player arrested after police find 21 pounds of meth in his duffel bag. He brought that to spring training, apparently. Jesus Carmago Corrales, 25, was arrested Wednesday in Eagle, Colorado after police pulled him over when they saw his car speeding and drifting in and out of his lane. Well, I mean, you got to get there in a hurry. The meth will spoil. Eagle County Sheriff's Office said they searched the car and their canine took interest in the car's rear wheel well and also under the rear seat. Also, at least he didn't have it in the glove box and in his lap, which was further covered. Okay, police found the driver's duffel bag, which was covered with essential oils. Apparently, it was ode to Breaking Bad. Inside the bag was 21 pounds of meth, 1.2 pounds of oxycodone pills, several baseball gloves, cleats, and $1,000 in cash. I mean, and we thought Barry Bonds was crossing some kind of a line. So we got to check, make sure those kids don't have 21 pounds, if any of them weigh 21 pounds.
And there's no stopping them. And our leadership, Mitch, isn't strong enough to stop people.
No, yeah. Please tell everybody how awful Mitch is. Drift off of Biden because he's obviously the clear enemy. Start going after Republicans.
Never was. That's like one of the big secrets. But he had the majority. But now that
You mean the guy who had the majority and you lost it for him? I mean, say what you will about the voting machines in Kentucky, but the man did win his election.
He's not in the majority. He's not doing his thing. He's not doing what he should be doing. There are ways to stop some of this stuff that's happening, but you're going to see packing the courts. You're going to see the biggest tax increase in history. You're going to see the Second Amendment just absolutely obliterated. You're going to see many other things. The Green New Deal will be put into effect.
Oh, my God. Not the Green New Deal. What is it in the Green New Deal that they're going to do? Oh, nothing, because it's a mission statement?
No, and people used to laugh at it when it was proposed 3 years ago by people that knew nothing about the environment, by the way. And
why would people who know nothing about the environment laugh at the people who put the Green New Deal in know nothing about the environment? Tell us about the environment.
They're going to raise taxes to a level, and they're going to spend a lot of the money foolishly on Green New Deal stuff. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. The cancer-causing windmills.
I want to ask my team to put up a couple.
Geothermal, which of course makes pets explode. Why didn't you go into that, Trump? Huh? People are going to get heat out of the earth. This is ridiculous. I don't know if you've heard about this. This is a horrifying. Let's see. Wait, hold on. I think it's geothermal massive. Is it IBM who's doing it? Yeah. let's see. Yeah, this is terrible. I don't know if this is how bad the Green New Deal stuff is happening. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but good Lord, can you imagine? I mean, these crazy left-wingers, these Green New Deal types have taken over the big oil companies. Derp. It's terrible what's going to happen.
Couple of numbers, and we're showing some information for our viewers.
Yeah, show it. I mean, he can't see it because there's a delay.
Mr. President, as you were talking and matching up a little bit, you were talking about the surge at the border.
Yeah, you were going all over the goddamn place, and we were just showing the wrong footage. We wanted to show evil Biden pictures, and you were showing us, you were talking about other stuff.
Let's go back to Southwest border.
Yeah, go back to that because that's all the footage we have.
Adults up 188%.
Yeah, 188%. What's the actual number? What's the actual number compared to the 2018, 2019 numbers? Don't give me this. Everything is up 188% from the middle of the goddamn pandemic last year. Everything. People going outside is up 188%. Coffee shops are seeing coffee sales go up 188%. Everything. Heather, do you think the interviewer's body language and facial expressions show she hates Trump? I mean, she's doing what her bosses want her to do, I guess, at Fox, because they need him. So, I mean, she's lucky to have him calling in as far as this is, by the way, this is them trying to get the OAN and Newsmax crowd back to Fox. That's all this is. Yeah, my hair is 188% longer than it's more than that. My hair is 600% longer than it was this time last year.
And unaccompanied minors, I want to talk about the children because...
Oh, the children. Which ones? The ones that he separated from their parents and lost? The 800 that he can't just lost the children, or the 611 we still haven't found their parents and put them back together, or the 8,800 he dumped in Juarez?
Because that's the mark against our soul. And
the mark against our soul. What? Say, excuse me, ma'am? Say this again. The unaccompanied minors that we are taking in, that we are schooling and feeding, and in many ways, by the way, vaccinating. They're not getting COVID vaccines because there hasn't been one that's tested on children yet, but they're getting measles vaccines and all kinds of other stuff, which they can't get in their own countries in a lot of cases, or may have not. But this is the mark on our soul is what? Taking them in? Seriously, what's the alternative? What is the alternative? Leaving them in cartel towns?
Up 188%. And unaccompanied minors, I want to talk about the children.
Yeah.
Because that's the mark against our soul. And your administration took criticism because we were taking in unaccompanied minors and...
No, you were taking in accompanied minors and making them unaccompanied.
They were getting separated from the adults.
Yes. How can you separate an unaccompanied minor? What? What the hell? How do you even say those three sentences? Listen to this shit.
Against our soul.
It's the mark against our soul. Explain the mark against our soul about us taking in children who have no adults with them. Majority of them are 15 and 16-year-olds. If you look at the graphs that they've shown, and the vast majority of them do not come from Mexico, do not come from El Salvador. It's largely Guatemala, but see if you can.
And your administration took criticism.
What did the administration take criticism for?
Because we were taking in unaccompanied minors.
Because you were taking in I'm sorry, this is freaking me out. Unaccompanied minors.
And they were getting separated from the adults.
Does this woman understand what the term unaccompanied means? They were literally accompanied. They were made unaccompanied, and then the adults that were accompanied with them were vanished. And in many cases, so were the children. What's the mark on your soul? What the Trump administration did to separate children, and they're stuck
At the border. And you see that, everybody on the screen, 92% increase of unaccompanied minors.
Yeah. Unaccompanied minors. What do you mean 92%? So there were 4,500 to 4,600 unaccompanied minors that came in 2020, even during the pandemic. What does that factor have to do with the children? So let me get this straight, Faulkner. The Trump administration during 2020, I'm assuming that's when these statistics are from. Maybe they're from 2019. But more than likely, they're from the middle of the pandemic last year at the lowest point. They'll pick the lowest point and go, it's the highest from the lowest point. This is, we're got to understand we're going for clickbait here. So, breathing. I'm breathing. I can deal with this. So, Faulkner, the 4,600 approximately unaccompanied minors that came into the country with no adults, and the children that came in with adults, you're adding those to the old number to make the old number seem larger, so the new number seems larger still. So let's say 4,600 kids come in unaccompanied. Compared to this, that would be a 50 some odd rise in unaccompanied minors. But if you take the kids that the Trump administration separated from their parents, and you add those children to the baseline of the unaccompanied minors that they had, it raises that number up to all the children, all of them, that entered the country. And then you act as if that number is the actual number that this 92% is based on. You're effectively quintupling the number of children coming in, giving the illusion that there are 40,000 some odd children coming into the country now. Because let's go with 2018 numbers, 19 to 20,000, depending on throughput, and then all the children that were with adults. What the hell?
Now, in 2021 versus 2020, we're only 3 months in. So,
right.
As we look at the screen, I want to match that now.
I'm sorry, for the whole year?
Mr. President, when you look at these numbers,
do you consider accompanied minors unaccompanied because you separated from them from their parents and never bothered to make sure you could put them back together again?
And you look at...
Did you just decide to keep the children like you keep the oil?
What wiped away on the first day of President Biden's administration, an executive order. What exactly were you doing that was working better than what we see now? And I understand
torture,
and that people were flowing over now, but there were some things that you did. You had agreements.
Yeah, tell us what you did
with Honduras, Ecuador, Guatemala, right, Mexico. I want the audience to understand some of what was wiped away.
Yeah, the agreement was, stop those people from coming, or and we're not going to give you the aid because you won't stop them from coming. They can't stop them from coming. Their borders between all those countries are porous. No one could stop them. And so as those countries got more draconian and had less funds to work with, more people left because of poverty and violence. And therefore, all of them marched through Mexico. And Mexico, to put those 28,000 soldiers, which, citation needed, on the border, didn't stop the amassing of those people over the last year. And nobody was keeping count. Maybe individual NGOs at different sites were keeping track of the number of people, which would be worth looking into. But all these people have effectively left zones where COVID was overwhelming to try and escape, believing that the United States would eventually, thanks to, Operation Fart Steed,
Captain's log,
would eventually get a vaccine sooner, or that it would just be a safer country for their children to grow up in, even if they themselves die in the process.
More than just, well, it had my name on it, because those numbers that we're looking at.
Yeah, look at that pram. Look at that man with a baby. Clearly, MS-13, they're procreating while they wait. This is terrifying.
Now, are marked against us. Those children, their lives.
Oh my God, did you see him? He shaded the child from the sun. Will the evil never stop? It's probably a little person who runs a cartel pretending to be a baby like an old cartoon.
Are forever different if they make it.
Well, first of all, the only problem with giving you this answer is you don't have enough time, because you need about 2 hours to explain what we've done. What we did,
yeah, we'll try,
is incredible. But in a nutshell, I do want to start off by saying that they built the cages. They built cages for children. We didn't build them; they built them. And a famous picture appeared about the cages that were built, and then fortunately somebody remembered, and fortunately we have guys.
Zero tolerance was the issue, not child separation when necessary. If you have a coyote or you have a human trafficker that is not related to the child, separating them for a period of time, checking that status to see if indeed they are a danger to the child, or if they are indeed a trafficker, for example, adjudicating that. And then if they aren't, putting them back together and sending them home, or working on their asylum case or whatever, normal functioning parts of society. What he's talking about is zero tolerance. Anybody who comes across the border is a felon, same as MS-13. If you just cross the border with your child trying not to die, that you are the same level of criminal as somebody who brings over a duffel bag full of 21 pounds of meth and a severed head. You're the same. And you will be treated the same. Your child will be taken away from you, and we will never bother to keep him. So
it's like Morgan and
thanks, Amoeba Stampede. Clearly this is the fear.
Tom, how good? We have such professionals.
Tom, what's his name? Tom. Oh yeah, Tom. Tom and his partner Jerry.
Tom Homan. We have such great professionals. I watch them on your show. They really know their business, and they're,
What do you mean? You spend most of your post-presidency watching Fox? Shocker.
They're not involved in this. They have people that have no idea. But they built cages in 2014, but that was during the Obama administration, and they blamed them on us. We didn't build the cages.
It was how you used them. Okay, that's why you guys think that we're coming for all guns. Why you think the Second Amendment's going to be wiped out? Because we want to deal with the people who are using guns egregiously, like the Colorado shooter dude or any other, active shooter that we've had to deal with, and crazy stalker ex-boyfriends and ex-stalker ex-girlfriends, for that matter. Anybody who wants to shoot someone extrajudicially, not people who are talking about self-defense, not people who are law enforcement, not people who are trained, not people who go through the process of getting a concealed carry permit or an open carry permit because they need it for their own security or whatever. We're not talking about those folks. We're talking about trailer park assholes and weekend warriors and right-wing psychopaths, stockpiling guns for the great day of the rope, and their 6-year-old finds it and blows their, a hole in their chest. That's our concern. But,
They did. Very sad, when they had a picture in the New York Times of children in cages, and it turned out that it was them, and the newspapers didn't want to do retractions, even though now everybody knows that's the fact. But as far as other countries...
Look at that girl. Is that an American flag? She's turned into a dress. pink dress with white stripes. She looks like a great little kid.
Concerned. So we had Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador.
Oh my God! Look at them. They're shooting Nerf guns. They're just preparing for war.
And others.
Oh my God! The great Nerf Alamo is coming, and our guys, we need to surge Nerf darts to the border.
We were paying those three countries approximately $500 million a year. Who knows what they were doing with the money? You could imagine. They were supposed to use that money for economic development, keep people there. It all sounds good, but it wasn't being used for that.
No, definitely not.
And people were flowing in, and
It's weird because it worked for a very long time until you came in and decided we don't want any, and then you just snatched the money away, and then all we heard about for 3 years was caravans.
wouldn't take MS-13 gang members back. They wouldn't take anybody back.
They'd tell us to turn the flights around, and we're not going to take them. And then I said, I'm going to take away the money, and then they said, okay, we'll take them.
For Obama, they wouldn't do it. They said, nope, don't ever let.
Okay, we haven't covered this one quite yet. Let's see, let's see, South American countries would not take back violent felons. Well, that's.
We want to turn out of Syria and the
Hold on. This is a little awkward. I mean, this is from 2016. Granted, it was very early in the Obama presidency. Oh wait, it was at the end of it. Obama has deported more people than any other president. Donald Trump's immigration plan is set to be announced later. Blah, blah, blah. On day one, I'm going to begin swiftly removing criminal illegal immigrants in this country. Trump was not given specific details, just, I think, beawful.com. How many people have been deported under Obama? Between 2009 and 2015, his administration removed more than 2.5 million people through immigration orders, which doesn't include the number of people who self-deported or were turned away or returned to their home country at the border. How does it compare to other presidents? In fact, they have departed more than the sum of all presidents of the 20th century. Yeah, you heard that right. The Obama administration deported more than the sum of all of the presidents in the 20th century. Now, thanks to transportation, there's a volume issue that they've had to deal with, so that's why they deported as many people, because there were a lot more people coming. And it also was a period where, because we had a black president, the idea that America may have turned a corner as far as its racial issues was floating around for a good deal. And that also made people feel more comfortable in coming here. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons. Not all of them financial is my point. Who is being deported? President Obama directed U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to focus on criminals, not families, during his November 2014 executive action on immigration. According to their website, ICE has continued to increase its focus on identifying, arresting, and removing convicted criminals in prisons and jails, and also at-large arrests in the interior. In fiscal year 2015, 91% of the people removed from inside the U.S. were, and this is a good part of it, previously convicted of a crime. Not somebody whose crime was just crossing the border. Someone who'd come here as a smuggler, committed an armed robbery or assault or rape or any other kind of conviction. 91% during 2015 alone. The administration made the first priority threats to national security, border security, and public safety. That includes gang members, convicted felons, or people charged with aggravated felony, and anyone apprehended at the border trying to enter the country illegally. Anyone. But please tell me how the Obama administration just couldn't get it together. In 2015, 81%, and this is so why I love this article. Oh, my Lord. I love this article. This is a good article. Good article. Thank you. 81%, or 113,385. See how important that is? 81%. or 113,000. So that means that we're talking about maybe 160 some odd thousand removals total in 2015 were the priority one removals, meaning hardcore criminals. Remember how they won't even take them back. 113,385 of these bastards were sent back to their own countries and were taken. Misdemeanants and new immigration violators. Priority two. That's priority two. That's the other, 9%. 19% rather. That includes aliens convicted of 3 or more misdemeanor offenses other than minor traffic violations, as well as those convicted of domestic violence, sexual abuse, burglary, DUIs, or drug trafficking. Hi, Jay. Thanks. Felons, not families. Criminals, not children. Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. We'll prioritize just like law enforcement does every day, Obama said November 2014 when announcing his new executive action on immigration. And while he tried to provide relief and a way out of the shadows for those without criminal histories with his immigration action, that was eventually stricken down by the Supreme Court, not issuing a decision in the case. That's the DACA situation. But by refocusing on criminals, most families who are living and following the law are not targets of deportation. But tell us about the mark on our soul, fuckhead.
Land your plane here. Don't ever bring your buses here. Don't ever send a boat. Nothing.
Nothing.
We won't take them back. Turn around. They were turning our people around. They were treating us like amateurs.
So, yeah. Come up with a word.
Turn around. They were turning our people around. They were treating us like amateurs.
Were they? Were they? Because the Obama administration deported 118,385 people in 1 year alone.
Which is what they were. And so I said, well, they was doing...
I don't know. I'm going to go with professional.
At the beginning of mine, too, I said, so how much money do we pay these countries? $500
Yeah, chew on your glasses. It makes you seem smart.
million. I said, stop payment. As soon as I stopped
stop payment, it's not my money.
Payment, all of a sudden they said, we would welcome our MS-13 gang members back into our country.
I mean, the only reason he keeps saying this is because someone even more racist than he at DHS or Stephen Miller or someone told him this story as if it was really playing out this way.
We're welcome. Anyway, I got along very well with those three countries.
Yeah, you got along great. They loved you. Mainly because they're, crazed dictatorships, but sure.
And really well with Mexico. The president of Mexico is a friend.
He's a friend of mine. He was doing those 28,000 soldiers as a favor to me. I mean, I did threaten him with tariffs and basically shutting down all product coming into the United States, which I know I can't do because everybody, Walmart would murder me, but yeah.
He's a great guy.
Excuse me, because I know I'm going to have to let you go soon, but I want to get this in there.
Pardon me, but I just want to, I know we got to get rid of you.
Is that part of what's gone? I mean, is Biden maintaining these relationships? We can't do this without the countries south of the border. In fact, we had some video, and we can go back to Tijuana, Mexico. There are tent cities that have set up on the border.
Yeah, they've been there for a year.
Waiting to get back into the United States.
Yeah.
Waiting to
all those
come
people
here
are going to come flooding in. Right. I kept them in Mexico. By keeping them in Mexico.
Yeah, you built these are Trump towns. These are Trump cities. Basically, the large number we're seeing is basically a backlog of people who have essentially stacked in Tijuana.
Mexico
and other cities. I don't know that that's footage. Yeah, that's footage of Tijuana.
It becomes much tougher at their northern border because they don't want any more.
Look at this woman sweeping, and she's got a child there, and the kid is wearing a hoodie. And I mean, that kid is just scaring the shit out of me. Like, he can't wait to get across the border and just straight up Scarface his way through Florida. I mean, honestly, Idaho. Fear the day this woman and her child and apparently the dad want to have a nuclear family of Hispanics who largely are pro-life Catholics who would probably after a generation vote Republican, but who's counting.
So I said to Mexico, look, if you're going to do any of this stuff that's bad for us, I'm going to put tariffs on all of the cars that you make for the United States, because before my administration, they stole 32% of our automaking business. The unions don't realize that. The union members realize.
They don't realize it. They don't realize that the corporations moved their factories over there because they were cheaper. They missed that part. They totally blitzed the whole Lee. Oh, I see. They missed Lee Iacocca's moves the same way Jim Jordan missed sexual assault. I don't know.
Realize it, but the heads of the unions that all support Democrats, no matter who they are, they don't realize it.
They don't know. How could they possibly know?
But they took 32% of our automobile business. I said, all those cars that you make are going to be tariffed. So Mexico was great.
Look, that guy is helping her.
I must tell you,
Look at these people sweeping in front of their tents. I'm sorry, I froze with fear.
Mexico was great. The relationships
Well, they're not
I
doing
developed
that
were
anymore.
great.
Oh my God, another baby. They're just printing children.
Well, no,
I mean,
now
we can tell that they're not doing
Oh
it.
my God, a garbage can, wherein apparently in their confined spaces, they are putting all of their garbage.
They have a field day. They have people that are rank amateurs. They have people that talk about ideology, but it's not even good ideology. Why would it work? Why are we supposed to take care of the world, and in many cases, the world's criminals?
Yeah, we do. We take care of the world's criminals. They come in, they set up shop in Trump Tower. They run gambling and prostitution out of there. And you're not talking about Russians. I see. My bad. And by the way, thanks, Roger. My dinner's here, pizza, beer. And indeed, Roger, enjoy in good health.
They're coming over not from the three countries plus Mexico. They're coming over now from Yemen.
Yeah, that's the worst. Mexican and Guatemalan and El Salvadoran people, they don't know a Yemeni from somebody from TJ. So they're just like, he's got a strange accent. That's the weirdest Spanish I've ever heard.
Coming over from the Middle East.
Yeah, from the northern border.
Who the hell knows what we're taking in?
Who knows?
These people are destroying our country. I said it was going to happen during the campaign. And
Trump, I'll tell you what. I and everybody like me, when November rolls around and the country is just gutted, there's nothing left. We're all a big socialist nightmare, and they're like, nobody's going to parties anymore. Beaches are still closed. Everybody has to wear a mask on their trousers. When that happens, I will apologize to you, sir, and I will carry you on my shoulders back to the White House so you can be Ulysses S. Grant to the reckoning.
That's why I got 75 million votes.
Yeah. That's why you lost to the other. That's why the other guy got 7 million more votes than you.
Probably much more than that.
No. Probably less than that. I would argue that all the fake votes that Mike Lindell thinks he's found were all fake Trump votes. Prove me wrong.
And it's a disgrace what's been allowed to happen.
Oh, it's a disgrace.
To our country.
Look at hold on. There is a television set. Are those kids playing video games? These guys are wearing sneakers and a jacket with writing on it. Aren't they supposed to be in prison fatigues?
Much more than that. And it's a disgrace what's been allowed to happen to our country, and they're persecuting.
Hold on. If I may. Let's see. Border kids getting education. Let's see. It's horrifying. I mean, this is a stain on our soul. Obviously this isn't something that anybody at Fox can find. Kids seeking asylum find some measure of it in one makeshift school when the pandemic hit. Okay, this is an older one too, I think. This is August 18th. This is the thing they've been pushing back against. Let's see. Kids in cages taught in classrooms. This is 2021. Yeah, there you go. New York Post. Kids in cages being taught in class. White House says as schools remain closed. These migrant kids are getting schooled, and our kids can't even go back to school. Even though your kids can go other places and can do it virtually, but they cannot. What is happening now is there are children fleeing prosecution. I think that's persecution, but good on you, New York Post, for just saying prosecution. Fleeing threats in their own countries, traveling on their own, unaccompanied to the border. And our focus is on approaching this from the view of humanity with safety in mind. Jen Psaki went to say that children are processed as quickly as possible through Customs and Border Protection, ideally within 3 days, then transferred to Health and Human Services facilities where they await being placed with vetted families. She then explained that a new HHS facility, the one that had sparked hypocrisy accusations over the past allegations of keeping, quote, kids in cages during the Trump administration, was open because children needed to be able to practice social distancing measures and follow other COVID protocols.
Shooting people. They're stopping them from talking. They're stopping free speech.
Oh, it's terrible. People are getting canceled. They're being Dr. Zeus and Mr. Potato Headed all over the place.
And they're
All right,
persecuting
let's get into that.
Yeah, let's get into cancel culture. This is sweet.
great Americans.
They what?
Talking, they're stopping free speech, and they're
All right,
persecuting
let's get into that.
great Americans.
They're persecuting great Americans. Who?
Let's get into that. Now, let's get into the fact that as media, we cannot get into this border situation, that there is a lid on us with regard to those facilities. Did your administration ever consider some of the things that the Biden administration is doing, closing down a border? I still don't understand, by the way, Mr. President, how that would even really work if it's so porous the way it is. You can't close it.
Well, that's why you needed the wall.
Well, you stop the people who are coming through at checkpoints. You legit tell them, anybody at a checkpoint, you say no, and then the surrounding areas are gated as they have always been for quite a while. So you have to, coyotes bring people around that or through tunnels, and then all the DHS is focused on, and Border Patrol is focused on people who are snuck into the country through those means, and it lowers the number of people. And then you start sending NGOs and other groups to the border to find out ways that you can fly people back to their home countries if you have a relationship with those countries and you try to get them rehoused and back there. And if you go, we need money for law enforcement, and even Biden the other day was like, I think he was talking about like crime in South American countries. He's like, give us money and we'll stop crime. And he's like, no. What do you need? And they're like, well, we're gonna need to put in street lights because it'll lower crime or whatever. Like, tell you what, we'll send crews down there. We'll put in the street lights. We're not giving you cash to build street lights and having it disappear.
Sure.
But now I built almost 500 miles of wall.
Mm-hmm. You must be exhausted.
So it's a much easier situation now. When I took it over, it was a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. The wall is there. I don't know how anybody's getting over that thing. It's incredible.
But I built 500 miles of wall, and now, you have vast sections. I mean, you see some openings, but the openings get closed. That's what the purpose is. You have to close them.
That's true. Yeah, closing the openings. Nobody thought about
those contracts have been given a long time ago. And again, that was to get people through. But these are small openings. But that has to get closed. But the wall has made it so much easier for these people. And Frank,
to climb over? What people?
I mean, I even hear they want to tear down the wall, if you can even believe it.
They're just not going to keep building it with funds from military families.
Down the wall, this is not the way you heard it from Ronald Reagan. This is
not the way you heard it from Ronald Reagan. Okay.
It's not a wall that should be torn down. This wall has made a tremendous difference of stopping sex traffickers, human traffickers.
Well, apparently not. If the numbers are off the chain again, what difference did it make at all?
Drug dealers, drugs. Drugs were way down.
Yeah, look at that. Drugs, disguised as caramel popcorn. This guy.
Under my administration, that last year, Because we had the wall,
Mr.
we
Trump,
had
They're smuggled in churros
28,000 Mexican soldiers guarding for free.
We are up
Zero.
against a
for free. I mean, if you don't count the fact that we were going to apparently torture them with tariffs
We paid
and destroy our auto industry.
hard
nothing.
commercial break.
By the way, we
Will you
paid
Yeah, go to please. Yeah, go to commercial break.
stay with
nothing.
me through the commercial if we have to take it? My team's
I
going to let
would,
me know
only
I don't
because
need to
it's
cut
you.
in.
Only
Yeah, only because it's you, and I have nothing else to do.
because it's you. I will.
Well, thank you. I know we have so
Okay.
much to cover here. This
Yeah.
topic of the
All right,
border
go ahead.
is so
Yeah, and you keep wandering off into a field.
wide. So I want to scoot to the transparency. And
What is the deal with the claim that the administration is spending $86 million to house the incoming immigrants? They're keeping families together. The Trump administration, in an effort to make sure people were separated, created increasingly smaller spaces for them. So when you've got families, you want to keep them together, they don't have the facilities for a broad group of those folks. So they're taking the asylum seekers and they're putting them in people that can be vetted by NGOs and by church groups and the like. They'll be in a hotel. So they're paying these unused hotels basically to house these folks. The $86 million is not simply for the room and board of the place. They have to secure the facility. So you have to put up fencing, for example, around these places. You have to provide guards. You have to pay for those guys. You have to budget for those folks.
where you think we are with transparency, not just on this issue, but overall with this current president. 64 days on Thursday it will have been by the time we see a solo news conference. And
So what?
as you can imagine, this will be a big part of the questioning. I mean, the media already started.
Yeah, that's a great use of the time. We've got an hour, and what we really want. Oops, hold on one second. Let's see. What is this? Oh, Christ. Yeah.
This weekend, I mean, they had to catch up to Fox on this, obviously, and some others. It took you 27 days, Obama 20. The second most with time was G.W. Bush, former president, Clinton 9 days, but 64 days it will have been on Thursday. And you can bet.
Sorry, and what are the other guys that you have up there? Show us the other ones. The ones that are basically like never.
People are going to want to know about the border situation. What do you say about the transparency with the current administration?
Hoover was 1 day. So we're using the standard by quality. The worst president on that list, because Trump's on the other side of it, Hoover, did it right away. Trump also did it right away.
Well, there is none. There is none. And, you know, I guess you're supposed to have a press conference on Thursday.
Yeah, he is. He's got one scheduled. He's going to do one.
But the questions will all be softballs. I've watched the interviews. I like George Stephanopoulos, but I watched those couple of interviews, and it was a joke.
Yeah. So tell me about the hard-hitting Newsmax, Mark Levin, Fox News interviews like this one.
It was just like,
Did she ask you about the child separation? Did she ask you about the 611 kids we still can't place with their parents? About the 800 that disappeared, flat out gone? The 8,800 you dropped on the Mexican side of the border, unaccompanied, just pushed them out without any NGO support to make sure there was somebody there to take them out? Just children. And no guarantee that if they were picked up in Juarez or they were picked up in, they came across in one particular place, that they were released close to that area so they might know somebody there. None of that. Just dump them in TJ. See what happens.
a softball. Anybody could answer him, and yet he
Yeah, we never saw softball Trump interviews.
almost couldn't answer him, to be honest with you. So you
Well, I guess we'll see.
know that. So it'll be
So the guy who can't answer questions, softball questions from the press, flattened you in 2 debates?
interesting. I hear the questions are all vetted. You don't have the same people in there. I mean, you might have the same people, but it's a whole different. It's a whole different set of questions. It's ridiculous, the questions
Why would they ask him about your sexual assaults?
that are asked. You know,
Why would they ask him about the migrant children you separated from their parents? Why would they? All right.
what did you have for dinner?
Why would they ask him about if windmills cause cancer? Why would they ask Biden if shoving a light bulb up your ass and drinking bleach would cure COVID.
What kind of ice cream do you have? As he walks out, they never.
Yeah, friendly questions about, personal stuff because they have time, because they don't have to wonder whether he's going to tweet that transgender people aren't human.
Talk to me that way, and that's okay. I had a lot of press conferences. I enjoyed press conferences because you get the word out. It's the only way to get an honest word out.
Totally.
Because the press is really not a free press. The press is not a free press in our country.
No, not at all.
Okay, so
clearly, look at this Falcon show.
The way you get the press out is with press conferences. Now, he doesn't need them because the press protects him totally.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's just it's like they built a wall around him.
I mean, anybody else, if that were me that hasn't had a press conference for as long, for the number of, with all the things going on, especially at the border, but really you have things as big as the border. We're not going to be energy independent within 3 months.
Why?
Think of that.
Why would we not be energy independent within 3 months?
I worked so hard. First time ever, we were energy.
Well, yeah, you worked hard because you can't work smart. That's,
independent.
That's hardly the fault of the task at hand.
We didn't need Russia. We didn't need the Middle East. We didn't need anybody. We were energy independent.
This undoes all of
now
that.
It's being thrown away. And all those countries, by the way, including Ukraine, where his son has an interest, big interest, are going to make a fortune. They're going to make.
Ukraine's going to make a fortune. So Ukraine, which is an allied country that borders Russia and is in effectively a hot war with Russia at any given time, they're going to make money. At whose expense? What world leader would be the most upset if Ukraine did well?
Make a fortune. And look at the way gasoline prices are going up at the pump.
You mean as people start driving again?
Harris, look at the gasoline prices, how they go.
Yeah, they are.
Going up at the pump.
And again, these are
because no one went anywhere last year and oil hit like what, $20 a barrel at one point?
all things that if you had a traditional news conference a few weeks ago, we wouldn't be playing catch up on this. I don't know that you can get all of this done on Thursday. And, when he was asked about the president of the United States there, we see video on the screen, Joe Biden, he was asked about going to the border, because I want to toggle back just a little bit.
Yeah, he said he's going to go there pretty soon.
And the gag order that's on all of us there. When he was
The gag order? Really? It seems like a lot of news is coming out of there. You mean inside the facilities like Trump did?
asked whether or not he would go, he said, at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
Been to the border, Mr. Trump. And
yeah, he put a plaque on a part of the wall that Obama built with his name on it, with Trump's name on it.
you know that
Many
when you
times.
go, or the First Lady goes, as she did, Melania Trump, when you go to the border, you bring a different level of attention to whatever is going on down
Yeah, so a racist one, you mean?
there. Democrats are not calling this a crisis, yet they
No, they're calling it a challenge.
sent in FEMA and HHS. So I want to talk with you about the transparency specific.
Yeah, that's why it's a challenge and not a crisis, because they're mobilizing all the arms of the government that actually can help with it. That's what keeps it from being a crisis. See, like a tornado is an emergency. If you let people fester in their homes and they have black mold and all kinds of stuff because their houses were wrecked during it and they're living in the rubble, that would be a crisis. It'd be a challenge to get those people who've just been struck by it into safe facilities and then help them rebuild their homes. That would be a challenge. The crisis would be if you blew off responsibility for it, and yeah,
Specifically with
you get my point.
this issue, should border agents be able to talk with this openly? I mean,
No.
our Griff Jenkins had to really get in there and follow some, because we can't even do ride-alongs right now.
Yeah, because they're mostly Trumpsters, the ones that want to talk, and they're the ones slow walking the kids through the process, and they're not aware of policy. They're simply covering the border. And if they want to talk about people coming across, it looks like they were what was the story again that we saw there? Is the Texas governor sent troops to fortify the border while advocates say the immigration numbers are being politicized. the DHS, the so-called hotspot for irregular migration, folks crossing the border and river without permission in the U.S., and what the Republican Party and anti-immigrant activists are calling a crisis at the border. During one afternoon this week, there were more law enforcement vehicles cruising along this dusty 15-mile stretch toward Los Habanos, a tiny border community connected to Mexico by a hand-operated cable ferry, than there was local traffic. Let me read that again. During one afternoon this week, there were more law enforcement vehicles cruising along this dusty 15-mile stretch towards Los Habanos, a tiny border community, than there was local traffic. For a couple of hours, nothing much happens until agents chase down a group, 6 men and 1 woman, trying to hide in the dry vegetation. So they caught them. They are handcuffed and processed on the side of the road, each giving their name, age, and country of origin to a bilingual Border Patrol agent. After placing personal belongings, a wallet, jewelry, and phone into individual plastic bags, the sun is piercing. The migrants look exhausted. Christian, a lanky 20-year-old from Santa Barbara, Honduras, seems utterly bewildered by what's just gone down. His family's crops were destroyed last November when 2 deadly hurricanes, Eta and Iota, struck within 2 weeks of each other. The land was flooded for 2 months, leaving them no harvest and unable to prepare for next season. There are no jobs. We have no money or food, he said, shaking his head. Christian is among a rapidly rising number of climate refugees from Central America. Climate refugees? What? Dealing with climate change might stop irregular migration? Get out of town. One of the most vulnerable regions of the world to the impacts of global heating. Emerson 25, a number of indigenous Maya Quechua community from Puerto Barrios in Isabel, Guatemala, left behind his wife and 2 young daughters hoping to find work. I'm a machinery mechanic. Sounds like a guy with merit. But the work went down with the pandemic, and then things got much worse with Hurricane Eta. Ingrid, one of 2 Salvadorans, says she's 18 but looks much younger. She's wearing 2 plastic wristbands, one red, one the other white, which reports suggest are used by coyotes, smugglers or guides, to indicate payments had been made to organized crime groups who control the border. So she paid her crossing fee so they wouldn't kill her, and she wears the bracelets to prove it. Ingrid lived with her uncle in Ilopango, a sprawling town on the outskirts of the Salvadoran capital with high levels of gang violence and police brutality, but said she'd come looking for work and a better life after the pandemic left them struggling to make ends meet. COVID has deepened poverty and hunger across Central America and Mexico, and governments have failed to provide adequate, if any, relief. The Border Patrol agents won't answer any questions, but one said to his colleagues, "This is a good day's work." Another said he hoped we would give them good publicity for catching 6 people who are all either climate or violence-seeking, like migrants. Okay, violence-fleeing migrants. After 4 years of racist, chaotic, anti-immigration policies by the Trump administration, as well as growing desperation fueled by the pandemic and extreme climate events, the number of people seeking to enter the U.S. is rising. Doesn't hurt also that they've been sitting there, too.
What are your thoughts about what likely is going on behind the scenes that
Yeah, what's going on behind the scenes?
we can't see?
They're just saying, more Mexicans, fewer Guatemalans. It's easier to get them vote Democrat if they're not from El Salvador.
That's a lot of questions, so I'll just let you go at it.
Well,
Yeah, just go at it. Let them, we only got a couple of minutes left, so just let them flail.
let the Border Patrol speak, as you know. I spoke a lot. I went to the border, and I went to the border also to learn, because, as an example, I was going to build a precast concrete wall with nothing, you can't see through it, and
Yeah, they told you they wanted a slat fence.
I went with the Border Patrol, and they had a specific wall. They wanted it
They wanted a slat fence.
steel. They wanted concrete in.
Because people chuck drugs in bags over the wall, and if you're just walking along, you can get pancaked by a giant duffel bag full of meth. Now that's a Cubs training camp. He went down there to learn.
Sets. They wanted rebar. They wanted different things, and they needed vision. They had to have great vision through
Yes, vision. That's what he had more than anything else.
the wall. I wouldn't have built the wall we had.
If I wanted, because they wanted a slat fence,
I would have built a different wall. And
I wouldn't have built a slat fence.
frankly, it would have been less expensive, and it would have
It would have been a cheaper wall, and it wouldn't have been a slat.
gone up in many ways easier, but it wouldn't have been as good.
So it would have been cheaper and useless. Okay, good. Well, your idea was cheaper and useless, but all right. Honest to God. Thank you, Diana. What? Did you just hear what he said? Tell us about your idea.
Vision through the wall. I wouldn't have built
They needed a vision.
the wall we had. I would have built a different wall, and frankly, it would have been less expensive, and it would have gone up in many ways easier, but it wouldn't have been as good.
Then why even consider building it? And by the way, worse than something you can scale with a wire ladder you can make with like $1.98 of wire and clips from Home Depot? Worse than that.
This one has everything, all the bells and whistles, all of the
I have seen no bells and no whistles.
tremendous security, wiring. It's all wired for various forms of security and drones and everything you could possibly have.
And it's wired for drones.
So I learned.
You did. You learned so much how to wire something for drones. It's now something he does in his shop on the way. Wired for drones.
From being
Wired for drones.
there, if I didn't talk to them, I would have had something that would not have worked.
But would have been cheaper and would have gone up quicker. Man, this is terrible. Oh, look, they're fingerprinting someone. That's weird.
Like this one is working. So, you have to go there.
Yeah, you got to go there to find out how much better it is to have a slat fence.
This is a major
Slat fence.
problem, and it shows a level of dishonesty. So they'll say something like, we did the vaccine, not Trump.
Jesus, we're going back to that. The vaccine plan. Where are the large, military vehicle, I guess, convoys in Walmart parking lots? Where is that? Oh, you didn't bother to follow through. You just talked about it.
Trump. Okay, and we have to respond
Slat fence.
to that. Then
You're
they'll say
welcome.
the same thing here. Oh, it was Trump's fault. And we had record good numbers. And this is not 20 years, as I said before. This is many, many years. It's never been like this. Nobody's ever seen anything.
No, it's specifically 20 years. They're looking at the numbers who are crossing, and they're saying specifically 20 years during the Bush administration, which I can't believe that's 20 years.
Like what's happening now. But I also said before,
That, whatever numbers they say that are based on reality aren't right.
wait till you see what happens.
Yeah, totally. They're gonna turn off the Second Amendment and hand machine guns to Mexican MS-13 people to come over here and bring fentanyl from the China, coated with the China virus to, oh God,
Because it's going to get worse.
totally worse.
Look at the numbers of people
Well, and-
that are heading up here. Harry,
Yeah, because people are on the right wing are taking out ads in newspapers in South American countries that the border is open. You mean because of that? Because they want this crisis?
look at the
and many
numbers of people.
Republicans. No, it's true, and
It's so true. It really is. Honestly.
they have now officially done what they think they can do. There's more to come. We don't know what that will look like. Before I
Yeah.
let you go, just real quickly, most presidents, ex-presidents like yourself, do not weigh in at this.
Ouch. Ex-presidents. Zing, bang. Faulkner coming in at the tail end with the real questions. Call him an ex-president.
Level. Why?
They don't come. Most presidents are dignified and allow their the person they lost to get on with their job for the good of the country and that kind of stuff. Why do you feel the need to call into my show and bitch about stuff and say the exact same crap you were saying that made you lose the election?
Why did you feel like you needed to on this issue?
Well, you called me. I didn't call you. And all.
What? Wait, what?
Why did you feel like you needed to on this issue?
Well, you called me. I didn't call you. And all.
Oh, God. Why do you always butt into this thing? You asked me to butt it. First ex-president, and now you're asking him why he called into the show? You guys set this up.
Fairness, but the reason I.
In all fairness. Why are you
On
laughing?
this issue?
Well, you called me. I didn't call you. In all fairness, but the reason I weigh in
You
is
wrote
very
the
simple.
statement last.
You made the statement, okay? You tweet faxed crap to us last night, and you were always, and along with it came a note saying, bitching about how we don't have you on anymore, and you're stuck down there in Newsmax territory when they had that one spike in ratings, and now it's gone in the shitter, and now that's it. You have to talk to Greg Kelly all the goddamn time. And so that's why we brought you on, you sap.
Last night. It was pretty
Well, I wrote
strong.
a statement. I put out a statement. But the reason I weigh in...
Yeah, it was a good statement, as statements go. It was awesome. I feel like I read the statement mostly to learn.
It's very simple. They're destroying our country.
Okay, that rests on. Okay, so they're destroying our country. How long will it take for them to destroy the country? I mean, you're planning on running in 2024. Why would you run to be president of a destroyed country?
Very simple.
Very simple. Yeah, they're destroying the country. Like, do you have a rubber stamp with that on it? They're destroying our country. Boom.
It can't get simpler than that.
No. Yes, that's true. When people, as far as people speaking on an issue, no one can get more simpleton than you. Simple. You can't say it's simpler than that.
They are destroying our country, and they're going to destroy it with tax increases, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. In order to accomplish the Green New Deal nonsense, they're destroying it with woke. When China looks at woke and they see the biggest problem we have is...
Trump saying woke is hilarious. With woke, on the woke machine, they're woken.
Dr. Seuss.
What?
When China looks at woke and they see the biggest problem we have is Dr. Seuss. In the meantime, they're building factories and trying to kill us in so many different ways.
Yeah, they're trying to kill us with factories that they're building. So why'd you nix the TPP deal then? Because that would have helped stem the tide of the growth of Chinese manufacturing. Oh, yeah, that didn't factor in. By the way, you don't actually think China doesn't limit the books available in their country, do you? You're kidding, right? I mean, are you under the impression that the Chinese government looks at the United States, a private company deciding not to print books, by the way, and thinks, oh my God, look how awful it is in the United States. They're stopping books from being printed. Have you been to a Chinese library?
They laugh at us. They think we're so... Frankly, they think our country is stupid. When
No, they don't.
they look at this, when our competitors look at what's going on in our country, taking down the statues to great heroes and
like Robert E. Lee.
so many other things.
Yeah, that never happened in China. You do realize that literally the current government of China started with the taking down of statues.
Now, I do it because I want
Yeah, tell us why. You want to still serve.
to do what's right, and they are destroying our country.
Yeah.
Mr. President, the 45th President of the United States, and we did call you, and we're glad you did. And we
did call you, and we're glad you did.
now have more information than we had on some of the issues with your border policies as well, and thankful for your time. Good.
Yeah, he hasn't got a lot of it, these days. I mean, is he literally in a golf cart?
Thank you very much, Harris. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Harris. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
We kind of need that thank you, bye. A sound effect. Thank you, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh.
Harris. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Oh, God. All right, so real quick, this goes on with the border. We'll keep on that topic because we really haven't had a chance to cover a lot of it because, quite frankly, a lot of the freak out about it, I would say across media, is largely bullshit. But, you got to, I mean, it's getting eyeballs on the TVs, and so they'll start getting you, there. Yeah, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
Is growing as
The border crisis is growing. It's going to be terrible.
more and more migrants.
More and more migrants who don't look like either of these two anchors.
Take advantage of President Biden's, I should say, lax.
Yes, you should. You should say President Biden.
Border policy. Members of Congress ventured to the border this weekend to see what exactly is going on.
Must have been crazy. What the hell is going on?
Firsthand, national correspondent Logan Raddick joins us from.
By the way, this is the dude that walked out of the Mike Lindell thing because he didn't want to get sucked into a lawsuit. That's that dude.
Capitol Hill with the latest.
And when they brought Mike Lindell back on, that guy, it was on a different show.
Logan?
Logan? Yes, Lord. Yipes.
Bob, Heather, good afternoon. The
Hi there, how are you?
situation at our southern border is overwhelming, and at the
I'm glad you went straight to a reporter who was standing on our southern border, which I had no idea. I knew there was a slat fence, but I had no idea it was pillars and columns. That's really impressive. The wall is beautiful, and apparently it has, bathrooms and all kinds of ante rooms. This is the border looks I'm impressed.
the Rio Grande Valley sector in Texas, Border Patrol agents are releasing illegal immigrants into the U.S. because they're running out of
They're just randomly doing it?
room to place them, but these immigrants are also being released without a court date. And even still, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the Biden administration is putting its foot down when it comes to this growing problem.
Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure. We are expelling families. We are expelling single adults. We are building safe, orderly, and humane ways to address the needs of vulnerable children.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the most horrifying thing. That's the stain on our soul, is that DHS is stopping all migrants coming into the country from the southern border, and the only purpose seems to be to make room for unaccompanied children. I mean, why don't we just have a playground with a slide that goes straight into a wood chipper? Like, why in the world?
Customs and Border Patrol has over 5,000 unaccompanied minors in custody, and more than 30,000 crossed the border in February alone.
So they have 5,000 in custody, 30,000 crossed the border. And these are unaccompanied minors. These are children that will be placed back with their parents if they can be found, and if they aren't, they will be blessed with child services if they have a relationship. We have a relationship with all these countries, and we know that these children came from Guatemala. They may be placed with child services in those countries as they're returned over time.
But migrants are saying President Biden encouraged them to come here illegally through his words and actions.
They were encouraged by his words and actions. You mean the not racist part?
Biden.
This is the same footage we've seen. By the way, I noticed that they're covering up the whole border is closed part.
Promise that we
That's ABC's footage.
can cross with minors.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn
Go straight to a border senator.
visited the border in Arizona and talked to a county sheriff about the differences in policies between Presidents Trump and Biden.
Yeah, tell him. What's the difference, buddy?
But President Trump, working with sheriffs, working with mayors, working with state governors, we came up with some good things. We had manageable calm. When President Biden
During COVID?
took office, based on his policies, his decisions, we've lost that. Now we have unorganized chaos and crisis on our southwest border.
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton
Arkansas, another big border state.
agrees with the sheriff.
It was the Biden administration that dismantled 3 highly effective policies. First, the public health exclusionary order. They lifted that order as it relates to minors.
I'm sorry, what? They lifted the order, the public area exclusion order against unaccompanied minors. I'm sorry, which party is supposed to be the pro-life Christian party? Which one? I think we're all a bit confused. It is amazing how easily they drop that BS.
Well, guess what we have now at the border?
Unaccompanied minors?
Lots more minors.
Yeah. Here's one pooping on a sidewalk.
That's not a surprise.
What? Look at, okay. we've got a kid at the border with eating out of an empty plastic bag that presumably had snacks in it. No laces on his shoes. Tongue hanging out. Obviously a sign of wealth.
Second, the Remain in Mexico policy.
The Remain in Mexico policy.
The Trump administration worked with the government of Mexico to allow migrants who showed up
Mexico
on our border to make an asylum claim, but remain in Mexico while we adjudicated that, rather than just releasing them into the country. And third, the so-called Safe Third Country Agreement with countries like Guatemala that says if you pass through a country that's not your own seeking asylum, you have to make that asylum claim in the first country you pass through.
And just a short time.
Yeah, that's because there are no places to make those asylum claims as you pass through there for miles. If you're going into Mexico through the Oaxacan areas, there is no system in place. There is no there.
Time ago, a pair of senators, John Cornyn.
And by the time you get far enough into Mexico where you might actually do that, a lot of the cartels own those towns. You'll just die. It's better to stay on the road and keep walking.
A Republican and Kirsten Sinema, a Democrat, wrote a letter to President Biden, and they say, quote, your administration should take immediate action in two areas, ensuring there are sufficient resources and facilities at the border to manage the crisis and taking concrete steps to improve the asylum process.
They are.
And as you can see, this is a bipartisan issue that won't be going away anytime soon. And there's a growing chorus of Democrats calling on the Biden administration to improve its policies on our border. Bob, Heather, back to you.
Yeah, in what way? I mean, while you're bringing them up, what are the improvements that the Democrats want to see? I'm sure you have the same concerns they do.
All right, thank you very much, Logan. Well, our next guest is joining 9 House Republicans calling for a hearing on President Biden's handling.
9 House Republicans? Oh my God. Biden's going to get hit from the left.
Of the border crisis. Joining us to discuss is Republican Congressman from Utah, Burgess Owens.
Another border state.
Congressman, thank you so much.
Honestly, could you guys not find a border state representative? Not a one?
So much for joining us.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about this. What we're seeing is purposeful chaos.
Purposeful chaos? Is that what you're trying to say? So they want chaos at the border? They are seeking chaos at the border. The assertion from the representative from Utah is that Biden doesn't want to solve this problem. He just wants chaos at the border. Purposeful chaos. Not my words, his words. Purposeful chaos. Is there such a thing?
President Biden should be ashamed of himself.
Well, yeah, if he wants purposeful chaos, that sounds terrible.
One of the things that we got rid of a long time ago, we fought against, was human trafficking.
We didn't get rid of human trafficking. We are always fighting human trafficking.
100 years ago. We're now seeing it happening at the border. And it's
What do you mean we're now seeing it at the border? Honestly, what?
Was human trafficking 200 years ago.
200 years ago? You mean slavery? Yes, it is his old tan jacket, Sarah. We got rid of slavery, so now we're seeing slavery come across the border. That's the all right.
We're now seeing it happening at the border. And I believe personally, you can't do this on accident. What he's making a mess of and the misery that's bringing to so many people.
Wait, he wants slavery on purpose. So Biden, oh damn, Biden picked, I guess, Kamala Harris as his running mate because he wants to bring back slavery via Mexico. This will be good.
So, yes, I would suggest President Biden, first of all, take his...
I would suggest, if you're going to do a phone interview, doing it indoors. Unless they caught you in having a smoke or breaking wind or, you were on your way someplace.
Time out. Go down and see what's happening there.
They know what's happening there. Being there personally, anecdotally, for a press op doesn't let you know what's happening across the border. As a matter of fact, if you go to one place, you might think what's happening in one place is the whole problem when it ain't.
I've seen his folks out there being dishonest with us about the tragedy that's happening down there.
Yes, the tragedy of these facilities that they have just put together to deal with the extra kids with air conditioning and apparently ventilation units attached that they actually look quite nice comparatively.
And the people that are being drawn to our country and going through misery in the process.
I'm sorry. So the people in tents on the Mexican side of the border who are being brought across apparently to bring back slavery are being put in ventilated Quonset huts during the time that they are being okay.
Getting that done. So we need to.
This looks like cruelty to me. Well, I mean, they were obviously much better. They felt much better sweeping in front of their pup tents in Tijuana.
Address this. It is no question a crisis, no question. And anybody who cares about real people can understand that.
Congressman.
I loved Real People, although That's Incredible was a more charming show and did very well.
I want to get your reaction to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas making the media round.
Don't make him say the name, though. Both of you are having trouble.
Yesterday, as we saw, blaming Mr. Trump for the border crisis. Listen.
Because the entire system was dismantled by the prior administration. There was a system in place in both Republican and Democratic administrations that was torn down during the Trump administration, and that is why the challenge is more.
He means, by the way, for processing asylum and migration claims, but not just of children, but of adults as well. They just got rid of it because they didn't want to bother getting anybody through. So they basically let everybody go and shut it all down, and it was really all about punting everyone. And they have to find people to do the job and bring them back and surge them to the border. That's what Biden's been talking about. That's what he's talking about. That's what it means.
Acute than it ever has been before.
Response, sir.
What we expect from our officials is honesty.
That's honest.
That's all we expect. Just be honest with us. There are people down on the border right now are realizing that this guy's being dishonest in every single fashion.
Dishonest in every single fashion.
And if the media would be honest with their coverage.
Do they have to be honest in every single fashion, or can we get rid of all the side effect stuff in drug ads?
It'll be seen as a tragedy what's going on. So I think it's
what's the tragedy? That we're educating, vaccinating, and feeding migrant children that are unaccompanied and turning away families, but we're making sure that children that are by themselves aren't trafficked literally as slaves because they can't get in the United States, so they'd be sent to other countries.
We're going to come out of this, number one, is going to see that we did have policies in place that brought order to our border.
Order. That's the most important thing. Order. And by the way, by order, he means 8,800 unaccompanied minors dumped on the Mexican side of the border with no parental supervision or any adults looking out for them. But it's not like Trump has warned us that there's some sketchy people on the Mexican side of the American border.
Which allows us here in this country to feel safe. Then maybe we can put our part.
Oh, it allows us to feel safe. Not be safe. Not have a reality-based experience of safety, but feel safe, because I don't know about you, but I can barely sleep at night with the idea of that a 9-year-old and his 15-year-old sister might crawl in through my window and MS-13 me to death.
Priorities and where they should be, where our children should be prioritized first, our jobs should be prioritized first.
Our children and our jobs should be prioritized first. So they're not being prioritized first because we're dealing with migrant children.
Our health should be prioritized first.
Our health, I see. They're dirty and they spread disease.
And what we're seeing right now is a dishonesty from the Biden organization who believes that we just don't have the common sense to believe our lying eyes. So,
sorry, is this the old wall that was crappy and ugly?
I hope the American people
and they're tearing it down.
Understand what's happening here. The contrast is obvious.
It looks like they're pouring more dirt.
We see what happened in the last 4 years, and the building of the wall, bringing order to the border. We see what's happening right now is nothing but dishonesty, is misery.
Well, bienvenidos a Honduras. So that's a welcome to Honduras. And there's a bunch of people in a police. That's in Mexico. These are all presumably current pictures.
It's on purpose because we're actually using it.
Oh, the police are probably bringing them to the border and dumping them.
To draw people to the border, and then one day to get their.
Look at that monster. She's carrying that kid. Look at that. Looks like a cheese Danish in his hand. Yeah. To an American kid, that's just a light snack, a tasty addition to their milk and in the afternoon. But in the hands of a Mexican or Honduran immigrant, that is a deadly weapon.
Power. And that's at the end of the day, that's what they're all about.
All right. Well, Congressman Owens, we're going to cut it
Again, bienvenidos a Honduras. Like, look out when they're that good.
short just a little bit because we're having some audio issues.
Yeah, we're having audio issues because you're using AirPods and you're standing outside in wind.
But thank you so much for
thanks for talking to us and allowing us to use the fact that you're black to pretend that our ideas aren't racist. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the punt.
joining us today. We appreciate it, and hopefully something will be done soon.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All the best.
Well, a federal judge.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here.
Reckenberg. Reckenberg will always be Reckenberg to me. Good old Reckenberg. Reckenberg, Tennessee. All right. Oh my God. Does everyone on Newsmax look like that? Criminy. Good Lord. Hello. I am an alien wearing a human skin. My name is Karen Lamangelo. Sorry. You always wonder what the number 3 people in beauty contests do with their time.
If you like this video...
I don't. All right. Sorry, I was jumping to this.
Slamming Biden's approach to the border policy.
Slamming it! He's slamming it, baby!
Calling the current situation a southern border crisis.
Oh, he's calling it a crisis. Where'd he get that word? Oh, right, from your Chiron.
Disaster. In a statement from...
That's her eager face? Yikes.
Trump's Save America PAC, Trump took aim at Biden's attempts...
Sorry, from his what? It's a Save America PAC?
Calling the current situation a southern border crisis disaster. A
crisis disaster. Yipes. It's a crisis of disaster proportions, or a disaster of crisis proportions. It's two great tastes in one. It's the Reese's Cup of crisis disasters.
Statement from Trump's Save America PAC.
Oh, why would you do a statement from the Save America PAC? Oh, right, because it's a fundraising email.
Trump took aim at Biden's attempts.
I'm not picking on her looks. I'm picking on her style.
To roll back the border security policies of his administration. A specific target of the criticism was the Biden administration's decision to halt construction of the border wall, which Trump says is still necessary to secure the border.
You need it. I mean, it works great and it's already done anyways.
And Miami's spring break arrest total has now surpassed 1,000 following days of...
Yeah. By the way, DeSantis killing it as a governor. And by the way, by it, I mean old people in other states.
Mass gatherings and unrest in the streets.
Unrest. Well, I mean, nobody gets any rest in spring break. You're up all night. You're partying all day.
More than half of those arrests came from out of the state, with city officials saying...
What do you mean? People visiting under the assumption that because... I see. What we're looking at is a border issue in Florida. Apparently, these folks thought because DeSantis was talking about how Florida's open, it's been open, and its economy is doing great because it's open. It's all been open, and we're open down in Florida. We're open. Apparently, they heard that and thought Florida was open and went down there and act openly.
They've come to, quote, engage in lawlessness.
Uh-oh, lawlessness? You mean being out after curfew? Why are you taking away their freedoms?
Multiple new restrictions have been placed upon these.
Apparently, you're still allowed to rent scooters as long as you have a beverage. And of course, the guy directing this footage, this is some of his best work. Is he sitting in a beach chair or is that a director's chair? That's kind of oh, he's on a motorcycle. Okay. It literally looked like a director's chair. Like, cut, everybody back to one. I need 2 more rioters on this side and I need 4 more smoke bombs. This looks like shit.
Vacationers, including a very strict curfew.
By the way, chaos at the border, which all they're showing is like little kids holding cheese Danishes and with no shoestrings, like a woman literally sweeping in front of her goddamn tent, talking about unaccompanied minors being taken in, fed, housed, and educated by the Biden administration. But Governor DeSantis is a Republican hero for his handling of opening the economy in Florida. Where's the chaos and crisis talk about this shit?
And a ban on
Look at this.
alcohol consumption at
That worked.
local beaches.
A ban on alcohol consumption at local beaches. Yeah.
The city even sent text messages to the tourists telling them
to piss off,
quote, vacation
to pull your pants up
responsibly or be arrested.
Well, at least we're seeing the same footage of the same black people, so we don't think it's, all right.
And now this, a shocking new video shows a man blacking out.
Oh, why am I watching that? I don't need to see that. They caught his feet. Why? What? By the way, why is this news on Newsmax? Is that India? That's in India. Why is it?
And now this, a shocking new video shows a man blacking out and nearly falling to his death.
It's not shocking. It's amazing. It's not shocking that he blacked out. This fucking dude is money. Why? Yeah, how is this related? This is probably the Mexican-American border. I mean, look at all the garbage. It's clearly got it. I mean, that looks like El Paso to me.
Before being grabbed by a bystander who we think is also a co-worker. Now,
really? Does it matter? A bystander. He was sitting next to him. He blacks out and he grabs the guy. All they're hoping is that his belt works.
Now, the man was leaning his back against the side of the balcony when suddenly he suffered an unexplained
Motang
medical episode. Wow. Luckily, this bystander did reach out.
The dude with the helmet is he a local superhero?
And grabbed the man by his leg right before he fell over the balcony.
Yeah, we saw that. That's why it's video. Why are you acting like you're reading us a bedtime story?
Now, realizing the situation, several more bystanders, they jumped in.
Is that really what we're watching? They did what? Now, are you saying more people showed up and helped pull him up? Do they all know the man and some were strangers and some believed to be nearby when it occurred? Oh my God, Newsmax is having a hell of a time in the post-Trump era.
Came to the man's aid, and of course they were able to luckily pull him to safety.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Good heavens.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Do you hear somebody on their staff listen to this?
And of course they were able to luckily pull him to safety.
Good heavens.
Oh my God.
Good heavens. Oh mercy. Lord of mercy. Oh.
Gosh, Heather.
Yeah.
Bob.
That just came out of nowhere.
I know. And Bob,
that is so nuts. Oh my God. Can you believe it? It's like we're scrolling for footage on Twitter now.
you used to be a baseball player. Do you think you've got those fast reactions to grab?
No, I would have let him drop. I mean, obviously, I don't know that guy. He could pull you down with him.
But if I did, I'd have to think, do I like working with this guy?
What could be more Christian?
You would never.
No, of course not.
Unfortunately.
Thank you, Karen Lamangelo. I love your segments.
He was only on the first story, but they did say there was a live wire underneath. So if he would have fallen back.
Morons. He was head down from on a second story balcony. I don't give a fuck if there's a live wire. He'd have landed on the top of his head with all of his body weight. What are you talking about?
Backwards, of course.
Oh my God, there was a live wire, and gee, you think the electricity in that neighborhood sucks?
He was going head first, and he would have hit a live wire.
Yeah. Oh my God, so after his brain was crushed by his body weight, then he would have been shocked to death.
So either the fall or the electrocution.
Exactly, either one.
This is why we turn to Newsmax for our answers.
And thank goodness he had that. Again, we believe it's a coworker.
Yeah, obviously not a friend.
Initially grabbed him
But that
over.
shows you how that much weight at that angle, they had to get a bunch of people there to pull him up.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, you don't even try that. It's incredible.
So that was a hard thing.
So it's very difficult or whatever. Can you imagine if Trump blacked out on a coat? Like, no one could. His slacks would slide right off or whatever, unless they grabbed him by his shirt or something. But if they got a hold of his girdle, maybe something.
It kind of saved his life.
Yeah, that's amazing, you guys. This is I'm so glad we're as cutting edge as we were right before this.
Exactly.
Very lucky.
You always have that over him.
Yeah, you got. He owes you a beer.
He's always indebted to him forever.
So if you don't mind working for me this Friday,
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Al.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Alex.
Former President Trump making new attempts to reshape the Republican Party.
That's what you had to do to keep viewers interested?
And try to play kingmaker. Mr. Trump is expected to give his full endorsement to Congressman Jody Hice's run for Secretary of State in Georgia, running against incumbent Brad Raffensperger. Let's check in with our own White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, for the latest out of Washington, D.C. Emerald.
Hi, I'm not in Georgia or in front of the House. I'm really at the White House, and I don't know why I'm standing here. It's kind of like, remember during the OJ trial when evidence would come out from the crime lab, and instead of standing in front of the crime lab, we would all stand in front of the murder site? It's like that. Why am I here? I want to go back to Utah.
Hi, Bob. Well, he's no longer expected to give his endorsement because he already has. And
correcting you, zing, bang. And by the way, she's standing in front of the White House because Trump is still president. He's the 20th president, and that's what we have to deal with.
In fact, the former president endorsing Jody Hice, Representative Jody Hice, shortly after Representative Hice appeared on Newsmax around 10 a.m. this morning. Hice announced his bid for the Secretary of State of Georgia, his home state, to challenge incumbent Brad
Baffensperger, Bab Fabasperger, Safin Fabahaber, Gambi Sabadaver, Haba Nahamda Hastafada, which is actually the name of the man who almost fell off the balcony.
Of State of Georgia, his home state, to challenge
of Gorgia. It's pronounced Gorgia, ma'am.
Incumbent Brad Raffensperger, who has been embroiled in
Brad Raffensperger. He's the awesomest.
In controversy since the 2020 election.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't been engaged in controversy. You guys have been flipping out at him. That's not a real controversy.
Cycle. In fact, Jody Hice talked about on Newsmax today what it takes to get Georgia voters out there again and feeling secure about their elections. Take a listen.
Yeah, tell them, Jody. That's Jason Miller.
Do you think that we're going to see President Trump returning to social media in probably about 2 or 3 months here with his own platform?
Yeah, everybody's going to flock to it. It's going to be awesome. ISIS, child pornographers, like there'll be no rules, so it'll be awesome. It'll just be like nonstop spam.
And this is something that I think will be the hottest ticket in social media. It's going to.
Yeah, I can't wait to get on there. I'm definitely signing up to get a blue check on what is it, Trumpster?
Completely redefine the game.
Yeah, totally. It's going to have like pictures and video and writing stuff, unlimited characters, so your feed will be full of people just posting their Unabomber manifestos and pictures of their dick.
And everybody is going to be waiting and watching to see.
Totally. I'm bated breath.
What exactly President.
Yeah, it's all caps lock. That's right, Momed. Everything is in caps lock. Everything is in caps.
Trump does, but it will be his own platform.
Yeah, it will totally be his own platform. And thanks to Section 230, he won't be sued if somebody posts like, death threats against the president. And then suddenly he'll be a big fan of Section 230. So that's not the footage I was asking for. That's That's Mason Giller, who's the president's former beard man.
Different.
Everybody is going to be waiting and.
Like nobody bothers to pull the footage in the middle.
Watching to see what exactly President Trump does, but it will be his own platform.
So that's different. That was Newsmax contributor and former Trump advisor Jason Miller talking.
Yeah, he's not former. He's current Trump advisor.
Talking about the plans that former President Trump has going forward for a social media campaign, a platform he will most certainly talk about the Georgia.
Yeah, he'll probably he'll Trump on there because it'll be trumpet and everyone will blow their horn and you'll do bugles.
Elections and politics going forward.
There'll be recipes for well done steak with ketchup on it.
But let's get back to Georgia. So
yeah, go back to Georgia. Play the Georgia clip, you jerks. See, this is what happens when you correct the head of the main editor. He screws you with a bad clip. You don't correct him.
Representative Hice told us today on Newsmax that he feels that election integrity is very important to Georgia voters. They want to know that their vote counts.
It did, and they do.
and that's something he plans to focus on.
Sure, he's going to put. He's going to focus on that he really won.
Especially if he.
Yeah, he's going to focus on winning. I knocked my headphone out of my ear. What happened to the My Pillow guy? He's starting his own social media platform. What's with her upper lip? I'm going to go with Plumper.
Secretary of State race.
Oh, that would be a great name for Trump's social media website. God, dude, you have to join Plumper.
Now, the former president gave his endorsement. He specifically noted
you can only be verified if you give an inch taller than you are and 20 pounds lighter than you are.
The incumbent, Secretary Raffensperger, and the grievances he has with that Georgia official. Former president saying, quote, unlike the current Georgia Secretary of State, Jody leads out front with integrity. I have 100% confidence in Jody to fight for free, fair, and secure elections in Georgia in line with our beloved U.S. Constitution. Jody will stop the fraud and get honesty in our elections. Jody loves the people of Georgia and has my complete and total endorsement. Now,
well, that should do it. I mean, I feel like, why have an election at all?
Clearly, there was some big news last week regarding Georgia when the Washington Post had to retract correct a report they'd done on a December phone call between the former president and a Georgia official.
Where it was actually worse.
That report suggesting that Trump had asked that Georgia official to find the fraud, and if she did, she'd be a hero. That turned out not to be true, and that leaked to the Washington Post.
No, he said it in another call.
Had come out of the Secretary of State's office. It's not just Raffensperger who has.
No, it's everybody. I mean, Georgia's a cesspool.
Has gained the ire of the former president, but also the current governor, Brian Kemp. Keep in mind that Trump has also said that he will campaign against Kemp in the next election cycle.
I'm for it. Knock yourself out.
Okay, Emerald.
Rad Raffensperger reporting live from Georgia. Georgia.
Very much. In a scathing new opinion, a federal judge has accused the media of being a trumpet for the Democratic Party. And
what? A judge? My goodness. What political slant could he possibly have?
In fact, he said liberals are close to having a one-party control of all the media that we read, watch, and listen to. Joining us now to discuss is Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and author of Guilt by Accusation, Alan Dershowitz.
Oh, my God. So wait. You're going to Alan Dershowitz about this shit? Seriously. Guilt by accusation. This is your innocence project. Holy shit.
Professor, let me ask you this. First of all, I guess it wasn't an opinion per se, or at least it was a dissenting opinion. Is that a place that judges take the opportunity to put their opinions in there to affect what happens down the road? What do you?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. Yeah, it's a matter of. What
do you think is going on here?
Oh, I think this is a message to the United States Supreme Court saying, look, I, a Reagan appointee, a moderate conservative, cares about the First Amendment. I really think the media has gone too far, and they are controlled by the hard left. And he attributes it to academia. He says academia is so far left today, and they're graduating these young people who are taking over the newsrooms and the editorial rooms.
Yeah, they're sending them in like moles.
Of all the media, and the media is becoming the House or Democratic Party, and that's not the way the marketplace of ideas is supposed to operate. Look, what Donald Trump...
Well, if it's a marketplace of ideas, then the readers would decide, and if they want to hear more of this and less of what Fox has to offer, or Newsmax in particular, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Maybe fund NPR a little better. Maybe you'll have more of a balance. Maybe we get a little more, C-SPAN cash.
Trump is doing is the right thing. How do you compete in the marketplace of ideas?
Don't have any. Oh, no.
Under our First Amendment, you can't shut down the opposing side. You create your new media. You open up.
Yeah, it's totally. He's waiting. He's going to open up Dumpster or Trumpster or Tramp. Treat. I don't know what he's going to do.
Up your new media company. You create.
It's going to be called America Better First. and you'll only the first tweet matters.
Create your own new
and it's always me.
Platform and let the market prevail. People want to read the Times, they can read the Times.
They do.
People want to read the Trump, they can read the Trump.
Yeah, read the Trump. Yeah, put out your own zine. That's what Dershowitz is selling. Totally.
Trump. Unfortunately, we don't have Walter Cronkite today. We don't
have Walter Cronkite.
Have somebody you can.
We don't have who?
They can read the Trump. Unfortunately, we don't have Walter Cronkite today.
Water Cronkite? All right.
We don't have somebody you can turn to today who has the respect of all sides of the political spectrum.
Well, that's because one side has completely removed themselves from sanity. There's no engagement. I mean, it's... And they have no baseline ethics from which to speak from.
For simply telling the neutral, objective truth, and that's...
What's the neutral, objective truth? Tell us.
What Judge Silberman was saying.
Yes, totally.
And he is correct.
Well, then, all right. Well, I'm glad we settled that. Is there somebody on there saying that on this little segment right here, besides yours truly, that there's another side to that, and that you're full of shit, and so is he, and one judge isn't going to sway the Supreme Court? Anybody? You're going to bring somebody on to say that? I mean, if you're going to talk about, a balanced version of the story, one would think you would bring someone that's not a wholesale supporter of Donald Trump onto a network that is a wholesale supporter of Donald Trump to argue that a Republican judge is absolutely right in what he wrote.
Alan, I want to get your take on this. We're actually going to pull it up in just a moment.
Yeah, it'll be up in a second. Just give him a second.
But the former president was on with someone earlier today on a podcast talking about...
A podcast?
All of this. And one of the questions I had for you specifically...
Wait, how did I miss Trump on a podcast?
Is how would this dissent or this opinion influence anything that may happen moving forward with an organization like, say, the Washington Post, who we just heard Emerald talking about, had to issue a correction on one of their stories. And
they issue corrections all the time. He said, stop, find the fraud in another call.
Involving this interview that went back and forth between the president and someone in Georgia.
Look, newspapers are not obligated to correct themselves. CNN.
No, but they can be sued for slander if they knowingly affect someone's life, knowingly report something false and it affects someone's life, and they haven't made every effort. They're civilly liable. Freedom of speech gives people incredible latitude.
And never corrects itself.
Perpowitz.
Mostly the Times doesn't. I've sent letters to the New York Times correcting stories that I've been in. I haven't even gotten an acknowledgement that they received the letter, and they...
Yeah, because they stand by their story.
Just moved forward. And
because they believe their sources more than your rebuttal.
And so the way to respond is in the
it's a big building.
Marketplace. The answer to falsehood is truth.
That's totally what it is. Absolutely. That's why I'm here.
And the answer to things you disagree with is to come up and create your own media.
Create your own show and live stream it where you take everything fully in context and address it as it goes instead of playing little chunks and hoping everybody else understands the outline. That you mean something along those lines? Something, what a brilliant idea. Why, who would think of such a thing? Who would do such a thing? My goodness. Oh, well. Hopefully one day someone will think of it.
It's not easy to do.
Well, I know. I make it look easy, but...
people like us can't do it. People like...
Why not? Oh, you mean creeps. I see. Well, that's probably true. I mean, hey, the world of social media is incredibly hip. You could start a social media site called Creep. Maybe Creeper. Make it like a grinder for creeps.
Like Donald Trump, who has a lot of money, can do it.
Yeah, he's got lots of money. Totally money. Money from dog charities and rubes who think he's going to be the 19th president.
Support, because I think most Americans want to hear all sides of every story.
No, they don't. First of all, there are not all sides of every story. There's not an anti-gravity conversation that needs to be heard every time somebody... during that little thing where the dude passed out, that story, you didn't need to bring on somebody who was like, 96% of the time gravity works, but 4% of the time it's been shown to have a, gravity wavers on the planet in certain sites. If he was magically over one of those sites, he might have ended up with just a concussion. Of course, the electrical wires, would have maybe electrocuted him. But quite frankly, we have a guest on that's going to come on with me that says that electricity isn't real anyways. That it's just when Jesus hits his funny bone is what causes electricity.
Which is why I think Newsmax is doing so well.
Do you really thinks Newsmax ratings? Mm-hmm. December 8th. Newsmax TV scores a ratings win over Fox for the first time. 4 days ago. Newsmax rating down by 55% since week after election. Newsmax ratings are collapsing, but insiders claim victory. CNN's ratings collapse. Newsmax writes this. CNN's ratings collapse, but only Newsmax is mentioned. This is from them. Bill O'Reilly makes inaccurate claim about Newsmax ratings. Oh yeah? Where he said, this is 4 days ago, where they're eating crap. Terrible. February 11th. It was awful. And then it wasn't. Dude, tell me. I'm sorry. That was frightening.
They present an alternative perspective from CNN and MSNBC.
That's true. It's not the truth, but it certainly isn't. Thanks. Twitter.
And even from Fox.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab it. 1 second. Thank you for the heads up. I was busy staring at this cretin. Hold on. Oh, thanks. Yikes. Was he really on? Was it just audio or? Oh, yeah, it's just audio. Really? Hold on. Episode 1. How's this chick managed to score Trump on episode 1? Gee, I can't imagine why he managed to have her live doing gives Lisa his most in-depth interview since leaving the White House. 55 minutes. Oh, I think we got something to do tomorrow. I mean, yikes. Thank you for that. I'm not gonna. I mean, it's obviously we're 10 minutes away from the bottom of the show, and I have to help Frangela set up their system. But by God, yeah. Thanks, guys, for yelling out. Can't stop lying and helping me find it as the chat stream by. The Truth with Lisa Booth. No relation to John Wilkes, or is she? All right. Dude, can you just invest in some teeth whitener or something? God damn, dude. This is horrifying. It is not hard. You are a man of means. You don't have to get them capped, but do something.
So when people want to flip the channels and get every perspective.
Nobody wants to flip channels and get every perspective. Because the Newsmax perspective is unusable.
You include Newsmax among those perspectives.
No, I don't. Every time I watch them, I feel a piece of my soul dying.
That's the marketplace operating.
No, it isn't. If it is, then their 55% drop in ratings, which was never that big to begin with, except for that momentary spike, is the marketplace working.
Okay, let's get a look at this interview with Lisa Booth on her podcast.
We'll get a listen.
The Truth. President Trump.
That's what she calls her podcast? Well, then, I mean, obviously.
Had this to say about cancel culture.
Oh, finally, we're dealing with Mr. Potato Head.
In Charlottesville, they were there. Many people were there to stop the taking down of a magnificent statue of Robert E. Lee.
A magnificent statue of Robert E. Lee.
And they were there for that reason.
That's why they were there. They were there to stop the taking down of a magnificent... I mean, it doesn't matter who it's a statue of. It doesn't matter that he was the general who led the Confederacy and tried to make sure that slavery lived in America. No, they wanted to form their own constitution and scuttle the Constitution of the United States of America. No, it's just a pretty statue.
And
yeah, and they use the same picture as Fox. It's the only one they can get freely.
You know, they ultimately it came down.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let's all relish that for a moment.
It's terrible. Now you have...
It's terrible. Oh, it's terrible that a statue of Robert E. Lee came down. Thanks for going on record, asshole.
Dr. Seuss, and you have many other things.
How is Dr. Seuss and Robert E. Lee linked? I'm sorry. It's a little difficult for a Jew to walk around with a tiki torch yelling, "Jews will not replace us." It's kind of a,
This is really, you know, you're taking the soul away from our country.
The soul of our country. 6 of the lowest selling Dr. Seuss books, which basically bottomed out, never get sold, basically, taken off the market, and a Robert E. Lee statue taken down. That's the soul of America. Think about it for a second. Those are his 2 examples. The 6 Dr. Seuss books, all the rest of them are still for sale. Not that he knows. He never read a book to his child in his life. Dude doesn't even raise his own goddamn kids. That's women's work. I mean, honestly, you think Trump reads to his kids or his grandkids? You think he's ever read a Dr. Seuss book?
And, you know, there were some nasty things in the past, but you learn from the bad things. And then,
yeah, there was some nasty things. You learn from the bad things. Here's one of the things I learned. Don't put statues up celebrating it. That's what I learned. You see?
Nasty things and
they're nasty.
Things that were done wrong, you learn. That's part of history.
Yes, part of history. You learn. You learn to not put up statues of Robert E. Lee. And you learn not to use racially insensitive illustrations in your children's book over time. That at the time may not have felt that way or even been perceived that way by the very people themselves, but over time it is. So you go, yeah, things have changed. We talk about it differently. The language changes. So words that were okay are not okay anymore. And so those words existing on the covers of books and what have you, we move on.
Professor?
Yes, totally right. Tell us about Robert E. Lee.
He's 100% right.
So I'm glad we're getting the alternative perspective on things. I'm glad Newsmax has balanced coverage about how, is there really a difference between Dr. Seuss and Robert E. Lee?
You don't take down statues. Maybe you move them to museums where you can put everything in context and
so that would be taking them down, though.
Use them for educational purposes, but
why do you need to use them for educational purposes? Seriously, why do I need a statue for educational purposes? Other than go, they used to have a statue of this asshole. It's over there. You can go look at it. Look how much they used to like that asshole. Look at that statue. Isn't that nice? And then all the secret Klansmen can come in and pet it for good luck.
We're not the Taliban.
We're not. We are not the Taliban, right? We're not knocking down Buddhist statues because Buddha was not pro-slavery.
We don't destroy things we disagree with.
Sorry, what? We don't what? We don't destroy things we disagree with.
And
We don't.
Glad he's speaking out on cancel culture. Everybody should be speaking out against cancel culture.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm speaking out on behalf of Democrats who are finally seeing that the Republican cancel culture is finally coming home to roost on their side and they don't like it.
Cancel culture is quickly becoming American culture, and if it becomes American culture, we will be the poorer for it. I have a book out called Cancel Culture. I have a new one.
I called your publisher and tried to get it taken down. I think it's offensive.
Coming out soon called the case against the new censors, big tech universities.
So it's basically the same book with a different cover.
And progressives, so we have to fight back.
So, Alan,
why are you playing audio footage of him swearing in as president? Oh, because he's really president. That's the day.
what are the legal implications moving forward that someone should bear in mind should they want to jump on board and be a part of this cancel culture?
None.
Well, first of all, if you defame somebody, I think the courts are going to be moving in a direction of giving less protection to those who deliberately and willfully defame others.
Oh, you mean, oh, right, the whole story about you getting a massage at on Epstein's properties and going to his house all the time, and that apartment he had on the Upper East Side, or Upper West Side, was it? Yeah, that he got for $1 that's worth $70 million. We used to hang out all the time when they would talk about that you did, and the girls there say that you sexually assaulted them, but you say you left your underwear on, so it was fine. We're supposed to. You're talking about that.
You know, I have a lawsuit now against CNN. And I think the atmosphere is now changing.
Yeah, no, it's not going to affect that. They're reporting what they've heard from the victims.
CNN, edited a tape of mine to make me say exactly the opposite of what I said in order to defame me. And I'm suing them under the First Amendment. I'm very anxious to protect the First Amendment.
So you're trying to cancel CNN for what they did to you.
But the First Amendment is not a license to deliberately lie and distort.
Oh, so we should be canceling books that lie and distort because the marketplace of ideas don't allow for that kind of free speech? Seriously. What is this? What?
The best answer is the marketplace of ideas.
Apparently it isn't. Unless the marketplace involves libel claims all the time.
But courts are institution of last resort if you've been defamed,
or detained.
Deliberately, maliciously, and
like E. Jean Carroll was. I got you. Okay.
Without any justification.
There are a lot of.
Well, there's obviously a lot of justification because they were talking to victims of sexual assault that were, used by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and some of them spoke about what you did to them, and they were underage at the time. So,
people that agree with this judge, is this the place for that kind of statement?
I do think so. I mean, it's a message to the Supreme Court of the United States.
That free speech needs to be curtailed.
The judge
that the marketplace of ideas isn't working, and we need government intervention in what the media can say. Do you see this Gordian knot of bullshit?
Very respected. He already has at least one or two justices on his side, and he's trying to.
Side of what? Trying to get the federal government to go after the media, and what do you want? The fairness doctrine back? Please tell me that's where we are.
Open up the possibility that maybe the Supreme Court will reconsider. He went out.
Yeah, reconsider what? The fairness doctrine? Because
out of his way to say, look, I'm following existing law in my dissenting opinion, but I want to see the law changed, and only the Supreme Court can change the law. I don't want to see a wholesale abolition of New York Times versus Sullivan, but I'd like to see a redefinition of malice to make it clear that there's no license to lie. You cannot just lie and get away with it.
So Trump's going to be in trouble then? Are you saying that basically, like, if people want to retroactively sue Trump for stuff he said on his Twitter feed, that should be fair game?
Under New York Times versus Sullivan.
All right. Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you guys need a babysitter? Because I don't know if, because I think that would be the only question I would have of those people if I was sitting at that table with them. Would you let him babysit your daughter? Would you? Gun to your head, would you let him babysit your child? Doubt it. Okay, we're almost out of time. Oh yeah, it's 6:02, so I got to do that. By the way, just to clarify that, knowing that there was going to be all this border news, I went through and grabbed a bunch of stuff, that I thought would probably be germane. And this is, we already looked at this nonsense. So, God, we'll do this tomorrow. I'll need, of course, to put up some graphics so you have something to look at. Maybe ponies, something like that. Something that'll keep your lunch from coming up. But over the next, I'll set that up for tomorrow, and we'll have a kind of regular show. But I appreciate you guys gathering with me today. I got to go help Frangela Duo set up their vodcast regular daily thing that might become a part of your viewing day. I hope so. I've got to go kind of like set up for the stuff I need to show them as far as like bringing up websites and all that kind of stuff to let them know the gear that they need to get and how to hook it up and what they're going to do. And I'm basically like the vodcast doctor now for all the folks because of what I've been doing with Stuttering John and Steph's show. So hopefully, why won't Prime work? I don't know. It should. It works for a bunch of other folks. I apologize if it's being weird. But I will, I'll be on at my regular time tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming. And I will, it's nice to be back home. It's nice to be here with you guys. It's nice to kind of have my setup the way it is. Now, Friday, I will be on at the regular time, but I will also be doing 2 live shows that night. So it's going to be a bit nuts. And then Saturday morning, same thing. And I will be doing it from wherever I'm staying. And I don't know where they have me. They're putting me up in Alameda to do my show. And I don't know if I'm flying up to San Francisco and renting a car or if I'm driving up. We'll find out. I've got to decide in the next couple of days because it's been a little crazy. And quite frankly, I was completely like the travel costs of bringing kid to grandparents in the middle of this kind of situation was a bit extraordinary. So I might save a few pennies by driving, but then I might rent a car to do it. We'll see. I might have you guys follow along with me. We'll figure it out. This is me just thinking out loud. This is one of my Midwestern goodbyes. I will see you guys tomorrow at the regular time, and now I'm going to go help Frangela, and so wish me luck, and hopefully I can get them up and running very soon, and you guys can go watch their show as well, and they can, like, go on after me or before me and be the lead-in or something like that, and we could figure out the time. Maybe they can go on, like, right after Steph's show in the morning. Would be kind of cool. I think it'd be a good kind of, it depends on if they're posting it or if they're going live. I think they want to go live. We'll figure that part of it out. I'll let you guys know as we make progress. I'll see if I can talk them into a tech show like where I live stream it when we're going through what they'll need. And hopefully maybe if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, you can learn from that as well. So anyways, I'm going to go do my my community service amongst the sexy liberals. And don't forget, April 10th, Sexy Liberal, sexyliberal.com. It's our 10th anniversary show. It's going to be amazing. And I'm already filming stuff for it. Get ready for some hat days coming up because I've got to slick my hair down to get it in a bald cap in ways that I never had to before. It's crazy. So I will, I'll keep you guys posted. Bye. Have a great night. See you later. Cheers.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole! Man, I'm tired of being right.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Free health care for illegal... look. Fighting for our values. Call me Snake.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Groovy.
To be a moron. To be moronical. An imbecile. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
I'm a land farmer, motherfucker!
Listen, Betty, don't start up with your white zone shit again.